Chapter 1101. The elf completely vanished from the world. His soul had been wiped out. He should have been able to leave behind a complete corpse, but due to the secret technique he had used, he had been reduced to ashes in the end. Great-grandfather, your majesty. The elves in the hall all cried out sorrowfully. They were heartbroken. Elder Yinsun mourned for the elf for a while before quickly calming himself down. He coldly said, "The Protector clans have a total of 6 beast furs. They're in the hands of the Shinshao sect, the Patian sect, the Yangji Zong, the Tyrant's Blade School, the Heaven's Incense School, and the Moyuan clan. We'll split into 8 groups. 2 of them will go for the 2 beast furs, while the other 6 will attack the 6 Protector clans. Remember to bring forbidden artifacts to fend off the Emperor armaments of the Protector clans. As for Mercenary City, they have a barrier spirit protecting them. Their defenses are extremely powerful. Once we obtain the 6 beast furs from the Protector clans, we can work together to break through the barrier spirit with a forbidden artifact and destroy Mercenary City's defenses." In an intermediate kingdom on the Tian Yuan continent, a middle-aged man dressed as a mercenary sat at a table by himself and drank. His appearance was nothing special. He was the type that would not attract any attention if he was thrown into a crowd. However, he gave off a valiant presence, so the mercenaries drinking in the inn did not dare to approach him. Although the middle-aged man was only an Earth Saint Master, Earth Saint Masters were already rare experts in a medium-sized city. No one wanted to provoke him so easily. Suddenly, the space ring on the middle-aged man's finger shone with a dazzling white light. A palm-sized piece of fur flew out from the space ring and shot into the sky with a tremendous pulse of energy. It fluttered in the wind and turned into a huge piece of fur that was 10 meters wide. The profound truths of the world radiated from the fur. It seemed like the mysteries of the world, but it was even more complicated and difficult to understand than the mysteries of the world. The white beast fur hid a great secret. In the past, Jianshun had only activated a few simple mysteries of the world from the beast fur, allowing him to reach sainthood. Only now was the beast fur in its complete form. All the secrets hidden within had been awakened. The profound truths of the world radiated from the beast fur. Not only did it cause the space there to violently tremble, but it also caused a strange pulse to spread across the entire continent. All the supreme experts on the continent could sense it. An ancient clan was hidden in an ancient mountain range. At this moment, a 10-meter-wide beast fur also hovered in the air above the ancient clan. It radiated with the truths of the world that were even more profound than the mysteries of the world, along with a strange pulse that spread across the entire continent. A holy emperor hovered beside the beast fur. He radiated with an earth-shattering presence. He wanted to take the beast fur, but to his shock, he discovered that an invisible energy flowed out from the beast fur. It formed an independent domain that isolated him. Even with his strength, he was unable to approach it. Just what is the origin of this strange beast fur? Just what are the secrets hidden within it? The holy emperor growled. He was filled with anxiety. The disturbance from the beast fur was just too great. He was worried that it would attract other supreme experts. In the Pure Heart Pavilion of the Protector clan, the pavilion master of the Pure Heart Pavilion, Wu Chenzi, stared into the distance without any ripples in her eyes. She murmured, "The 100 races have actually used a secret technique to search for the fur of the winged tiger again. Sigh. It'll be very difficult for them to gather all 18 beast furs. Why bother?" The great elders who were cultivating in secret rooms in the Protector clan's Chanyang prefecture opened their eyes at the same time. With a single movement, they vanished from the room. When they reappeared, they had already gathered in the discussion hall of the Divine Hall. Some heaven-defying treasure must have appeared on the Tian Yuan continent. It can actually cause such a great disturbance. I can actually sense the truths of the world that are even more profound than the mysteries of the world I've comprehended. Jury Zhenhua, why don't the 2 of you go out and have a look? No matter what the treasure is, you have to bring it back, Changyang Qing Yun sternly said. Changyang Qing Jury and Changyang Yuan Zhenhua nodded and left the Protector clan together. The great elders of the Protector clan's Yangji Zone had already gathered together. Yangzi sat at the very front and sternly said, "You must have sensed it. A strange pulse has actually appeared on the Tianyuan continent. I can vaguely sense a profound truth of the world from it. Even I struggle to understand it. I wonder what it is. It can cause such a great disturbance." A great elder of Yangji Zone asked out of curiosity. "No matter what it is, we have to go out and have a look. If it's a supreme treasure, we have to do our best to take it back. Let me and Tian Shuzi go out and have a look." Two great elders of Yangji Zone immediately left. At the same time, Guihai Yidao slowly opened his eyes as he sat on the Emperor armament in the forbidden grounds of the Tyrant's Blade School. His eyes seemed to contain a starry sky in another world, giving off an unfathomable feeling. This is the pulse of origin energy. It's a pity that there's only a sliver of presence. There's no more energy, or I could use it to increase my strength. Guihai Yidao suddenly paused when he reached there. A gleam of light flashed through his eyes as he said with a deep voice, "No, there seems to be something else in there." Guihai Yidao sensed carefully, and a while later, he became rather stern. He murmured, "My strength may be nowhere near what it was in the past, but it's not easy to hide from me. Even I can't sense what the winged tiger is hiding in the beast fur. It looks like his strength has far exceeded my peak condition. He's probably a godhood already. Only someone with that level of strength can kill a warring god. The winged tiger's hide is a hot potato. Once I get involved, I might end up offending a warring god. A warring god will become a grand prime in the future. Such a great figure is not someone a puny adventurer like me can afford to offend." Guihai Yidao murmured to himself. Deep fear filled his eyes. The disturbance caused by the two beast furs had deeply attracted the attention of the 10 Protector clans. Other than the Pure Heart Pavilion and the Tyrant's Blade School, the other 8 Protector clans all send out experts in an attempt to fight for the supreme treasure. Other than the Protector clans, many other large clans and organizations, as well as a few ancient clans and experts who cultivated in seclusion deep in the mountains, took part as well. They all hurried to the location of the 2 beast furs from various places on the Tianyuan continent. In the medium-sized city on the Tianyuan continent, the middle-aged man who possessed the beast fur could no longer be bothered with drinking. He immediately leapt out of his restaurant and stared at the beast fur that had already expanded to 10 meters in length in shock. Excitement filled his face as he murmured, "Treasure, treasure. So it really is a treasure. I'm rich now." The 10-meter-long beast fur fluttered in the wind as it hovered several hundred meters in the air. The terrifying pulses of energy it gave off alarmed everyone in the city. Immediately, a large number of mercenaries and merchants emerged from their inns and stared at the sky in shock. "Ark!" A long whistle rang out from afar. An Earth Saint Master charged into the sky with lightning speed as he flickered with dazzling saint force. He wanted to take the beast fur. Seeing this scene, the mercenary who owned the divine beast skin immediately flew into a rage and shouted angrily, "This is mine. No one can take it away." With that, he took out his saint weapon. Powerful saint force surged out of his body as he charged toward the Earth Saint Master in the distance, stopping him from taking the beast fur. The two of them began to engage in a great battle very soon. Although there were no Heaven Saint Masters in the city, there were quite a few Earth Saint Masters. It was not just the two of them. Just as the two of them were locked in battle, another 4 Earth Saint Masters leapt high into the air. Powerful pulses of energy flickered around them as they charged into the sky. However, the beast fur was just far too high. It was several hundred meters high, and there was nothing in the surroundings that they could use as leverage. It was impossible for them to reach such a height with their strength as Earth Saint Masters. The 4 Earth Saint Masters only managed to reach a height of 100 meters before falling back down powerlessly. The Earth Saint Masters were filled with reluctance. None of them wanted to give up on this treasure that they could tell was extremely precious with a single glance. They all roared out angrily and leapt high into the air with all their might. However, They could only reach a height of 200 meters, which was far from the beast fur. Bastard, why is it floating so high? An Earth Saint Master angrily cursed. He was filled with great reluctance. At this moment, the space in the sky began to violently distort. A space gate suddenly appeared, and two white-robed old men with sword-like eyebrows stepped out of the space gate side by side. They've ripped open space to create a space gate. They're Holy Emperor-level experts. The appearance of the two old men immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the city. An experienced Earth Saint Master immediately cried out. All the people in the city immediately fell silent when they heard the mention of Saint Kings. All of them stared at the two old men in unison as admiration and curiosity filled their eyes. Chapter 11:02. The two old men who had ripped open space stared at the 10-meter-long beast fur floating in front of them. A sliver of surprise appeared in their eyes. One of them said, "I never thought that the thing that would cause such a great disturbance would be this strange beast fur. I wonder what secrets it hides." The other old man stared at the beast fur closely. He pondered and said, "Strange. Why do I feel like this beast fur is rather similar to the one at the top of the treasury of our Shinshao sect? It's just different in size." The two old men were great elders of the Shinshao sect, one of the 10 protector clans of the Tian Yuan continent. Now that you mention it, it does seem rather similar. But it doesn't matter if it's the same or not. We need to obtain it, said one of the old men. An old man said. Then he took a step forward and crossed a distance of nearly 100 meters to arrive in front of the divine beast skin. He stretched out his hand to grab it. However, at this moment, another space gate appeared. Two bearded, middle-aged men in blue robes walked out. When they saw that one of the great elders of the Shinshao sect had already gone to take the beast fur, a vicious light immediately flashed through their eyes. One of them immediately threw out a punch from afar, shattering space. A tremendous and powerful energy shot towards the great elder in the form of a black dragon. The second great elder of the Shinshao sect bellowed out. Just when he was about to take action, he was stopped by the tremendous presence from the other middle-aged man. The great elder from a Shinshao sect who had taken the beast hide understood the power of the middle-aged man's punch. He became stern and no longer cared about taking the beast hide. He sent a palm strike at the incoming black dragon with lightning-like speed. There was no rumble as expected. The two supreme forces collided in the air and actually canceled each other out, vanishing into thin air. They were only several hundred meters above the ground, and below them was a medium-sized city with a population of over 1 million. If the Holy Emperor struck out without any fear, the terrifying shockwaves of energy would definitely affect the city below, causing hundreds of thousands or even millions of deaths. At that time, the two of them would definitely suffer the punishment of celestial decay. They knew how to control themselves when they were so close to a densely populated city. People of the Moyuan clan, our Shinshao sect, discovered the beast fur first, so it already belongs to our Shinshao sect. Do you still want to take it from us? A great elder of the Shinshao sect called out sternly. Don't try that on me. We're not 3-year-olds. Do you really think that just because you say you're from the Shinshao sect, you're really from the Shinshao sect? I can even say that you're from the Moyuan clan, sneered the middle-aged man who had attacked. People of the Shinshao sect, this beast fur already belongs to our Moyuan clan. Please leave quickly. We don't wish for this matter to cause any discord between us, said another middle-aged man from the Moyuan clan. The two great elders of the Shinshao sect paled in anger when they heard that. They bellowed out, Moyuan clan, you've gone a little too far. Do you really think that our Shinshao sect is afraid of you? On the surface, the 10 protector clans were the most powerful clans on the Tian Yuan continent, acting as the protectors of the continent. However, they would often compete with one another secretly, and there would even be conflicts between them. One of the middle-aged men snorted coldly. The two of them were slightly more powerful than the two great elders of the Shinshao sect, so they naturally did not fear them. Immediately, one of them extended his hands in an attempt to take the beast fur. Don't you dare take away the treasure that belongs to our Shinshao sect. How could the two great elders of the Shinshao sect allow the people of the Moyuan clan to take away what originally belonged to them. They immediately struck out together and engaged in a great battle with the people of the Moyuan clan. After clashing a few times, the surrounding space began to pulse violently. Space gates suddenly appeared one after another, and Holy Emperor-level experts walked out. They either radiated with tremendous presences or seemed like ordinary people. Other than the people of the Protector clans, there were many ancestors of ancient clans, as well as a few independent people who did not belong to any organization. With the arrival of these people, the situation immediately became complicated. The experts of the Shinshao sect and Moyuan clan stopped fighting as well. They were all emotionless. Haha, this place sure is lively. I never thought that so many renowned people would come. However, there's so many of us, yet there's only one treasure. It won't be easy to split it, laughed a holy emperor from a Protector clan. Humph. Those who have nothing to do with this need to leave quickly. There are some people who have no need to take part in this matter, said a bald old man coldly. A bald old man said coldly as he glared at the weaker patriarchs of the ancient aristocratic families and independent cultivators. He was extremely domineering. The expressions of the weaker Holy Emperor experts who did not belong to the Protector clans immediately became rather ugly when they heard that. However, they did not dare to say anything to the great elders of the Protector clans. Immediately, a few Holy Emperor experts ripped open space and left. With their departure, only 20-odd people remained from the Holy Emperor. These people included the Protector clans and a few stronger experts who did not fear the Protector clans. Seeing how he had scared away the Holy Emperor experts with a single sentence, the bald old man raised his eyebrows complacently. He said, "Now it's time for us to properly discuss how to split the treasure." As soon as the bald old man finished speaking, the space nearby began to tremble violently. A huge space gate suddenly took shape. Immediately, an overwhelming aura surged out from within, shocking all the experts from the 10 Protector clans. They were unable to react for a short period of time. 20 to 30 experts with soaring presences charged out of the space gate with great speed. Every single one of them possessed the strength of a Holy Emperor. There was no lack of Holy Emperor experts at great perfection. They were extremely powerful. As soon as these people emerged from the space gate, vast ripples of energy flickered around them. They directly used their weapons to attack all the human Holy Emperor experts present. One of the peak Holy Emperor experts directly charged for the beast hide, grabbing it in his hand before quickly storing it in his space ring. Oh no, they're from the 100 races. A great elder of a Protector clan recognized these people. His expression changed drastically as he cried out in alarm. Without any hesitation, he immediately summoned his saint weapon to block. The other human Holy Emperor experts all reacted as well. In the face of a great enemy, no one cared about the beast hide anymore. Everyone summoned their saint weapons to face the enemy with all their might. They all understood extremely well that when facing the experts of the 100 races, it was either death or destruction. Either you die or I live. The latter would not show mercy just because you were a member of the Guardian family. The Holy Emperor of the 100 races had slightly more experts than the human Holy Emperor. Coupled with the fact that the 100 races had a great perfection Holy Emperor leading them, the human experts were already at a disadvantage as soon as the two sides clashed. The experts on both sides did not dare to use their full strength recklessly. If the shockwaves from the battle wiped out hundreds of thousands or even millions of people in the city below, all of them would have to bear the consequences. As a result, even though several dozen Holy Emperor experts fought in the air, they did not create any earth-shaking disturbances. Space only constantly cracked and healed. How dare you? Have you become impatient with your comfortable lives? Our Tian Yuan continent hasn't attacked you in so many years, yet you've actually begun to invade us. People of the 100 races, do you want to start an all-out war with our Tian Yuan continent? The Holy Emperor of the Protector clan cursed as he fended off the attacks of the 100 races. All of them secretly used secret techniques to contact the experts of their clans. We've already obtained the item. Let's not waste time here. Let's go, said the holy emperor who had taken the beast hide coldly before rapidly retreating. He created a space gate in a stable region of space and left through it. The other experts of the 100 races did not linger around either. They all used powerful attacks to knock back their opponents before quickly disappearing into the space gate. In the blink of an eye, the 20 or 30 holy emperor experts of the 100 races who had suddenly arrived had all left. Less than 5 seconds had passed since they had arrived. It was extremely sudden. The 20 or so holy emperor experts hovered there with sunken faces. Some of them even had blood dripping from the corner of their mouths. Although the battle had been very short, a few holy emperor experts had still been injured. 100 races, how dare you invade our Tian Yuan continent? We will never let this matter rest. The bald old man of the Protector clan roared at the sky. Powerful killing intent radiated from him, enough to rend the surroundings. In ancient times, the humans of the Tian Yuan continent were indeed not the opponents of the 100 races, but the times are different now. The Tian Yuan continent possessed abundant resources, while the 100 races lived on the desolate wasteland continent. Their overall strength was nowhere near the Tian Yuan continent. They were no longer as powerful as they used to be. A few more space gates suddenly opened. The holy emperor experts of the Protector clans received a call for help and hurried over from their clans. What's happened here? A holy emperor who had hurried over asked with a heavy voice. It's the 100 races. A large group of experts from the 100 races suddenly invaded our continent and stole the treasure. The same thing happened in the sky above an ancient clan. One of the 2 beast furs on the Tian Yuan continent was in a medium-sized city, while the other was kept by an ancient clan. The 2 beast furs had attracted the attention of many experts on the Tian Yuan continent, but they were taken away by the experts of the 100 races who had suddenly appeared in the end. For a moment, the large group of experts from the 100 races had invaded the Tian Yuan continent and stolen the beast furs, infuriating the Protector clans and a few peak experts. They swore that they would seek justice for this matter. However, while the experts from the Protector clans were still discussing the matter of the 100 races, the other 6 groups of people from the 100 races had gathered outside the Shenshao sect, the Patian sect, the Yangji Zone, the Tyrant's Blade School, the Heaven's Incense School, and the Moyuan clan. Chapter 11:03. Use the Forbidden Artifact. We have to break into the Protector clan space in the shortest amount of time possible, and then use the Forbidden Artifact to break through the obstruction and obtain the beast fur. The leaders of the 6 groups all gave out orders to attack at the same time. Outside the independent space of the Yangji sect of the 10 Protector clans, a simple and unadorned saber stood between the heavens and the earth, giving off an unparalleled sense of dominance. The saber was over 100 meters long and shot out several hundred meters of light. It stabbed into the sky and pierced into the underworld. Destructive energy ripples violently shook the surroundings, causing space to distort and space to become chaotic. Countless cliffs and peaks in the surroundings were crushed. 2 holy emperor, great perfection experts of the 100 races control the blade. They were stern. The forbidden artifact was just too powerful. Even with the 2 of them working together, it was still rather difficult to control. The 2 perfection powerhouses in control of the forbidden artifact both let out a world-shaking roar. A 5-meter-thick beam of light shot out from their blades and struck the space in front of them like lightning. The space there began to shake violently. A huge spatial crack ripped open, revealing not the pitch-black abyss of the universe, but a beautiful miniature world. The forbidden artifact directly created a hole in the independent space of the Protector clan, Yangji Zone. It caused the entire Yangji Zone to shake violently. However, before the people of Yangji Zone could understand what was happening, the experts of the 100 races had already charged in from outside. They used the forbidden artifact to clear a path. They directly killed their way into Yangji Zone with an extremely forceful aura. Dong! The heavy sound of a bell rang out from the Divine Hall in Yangji Zone. It was loud and hurried, and it vaguely gave off the feeling of sofa. This was a warning bell that had not rung in Yangji Zone for many years. It was not controlled by a person, but by itself. It would only ring out when Yangji Zong faced an invasion. A few great elders in white robes emerged from the divine hall that represented the core of power in Yangji Zong. They called out, "There's an enemy invasion." All disciples of the sect immediately faced the enemy. With that, the great elders saw 30 holy emperor experts rapidly approach them with forbidden artifacts in hand. It's the people of the 100 races. The 100 races have invaded our Yangji Zone. They've actually brought an ancient forbidden artifact. The expressions of the great elders of Yangji Zone drastically changed. They were no longer able to remain as calm as before. Let's go to the Forbidden Grounds and use the Emperor Armament. Activate the defenses of the encirclement of the 18 halls. A great elder of Yangji Zone cried out. Without any hesitation, he immediately hurried toward the Forbidden Grounds as quickly as he could. The other elders all followed closely behind him. They want to take the Emperor Armament. Stop them. A great cry rang out from the 100 races. Immediately, a few experts broke away from the group and pursued with lightning speed. However, this was the base of a protector clan after all. There were still many hidden dangers. The experts of the 100 races were stopped by a powerful sword chi that had suddenly shot out from the sky, allowing the great elders of Yangji Zone to successfully enter the Forbidden Grounds. Let's go stop them from controlling the Emperor Armament. We'll stay away for as long as we can, a great elder of the 100 races called out. He charged into the Forbidden Grounds with his companions in an attempt to stop the great elders of Yangji Zone from controlling the Emperor Armament. Very soon, an intense battle erupted in the Forbidden Grounds behind Yangji Zone. The experts of the 100 races had already begun fighting with the great elders of Yangji Zone. On the other side, two peak experts at great perfection of the Holy Emperor of the 100 races used the forbidden artifact to open a path. They hurriedly led the experts behind them toward the Divine Hall at the very center of Yangji Zone. During that time, saint rulers of Yangji Zone constantly flew up from below without any regard for their own safety. They wanted to stop the invasion of the 100 races, but without any exception, all of them were heavily injured. Their lives were in danger, and a few saint rulers had even been wiped out on the spot. The people who had attacked the 10 protector clans this time were the most powerful experts on the entire continent, after all. No matter how powerful the protector clans were, it was difficult for them to fend off all the experts of the 100 races. In particular, 3 of the 7 holy emperor of Yangji Zone had yet to return due to the beast fur, so only 4 of them remained in the sect. They were no match for the experts of the 100 races who outnumbered them by several times. Even though they were in their own clans, it was still difficult for them to fend them off. Boom! With a great boom, the entire space violently shook. Violent ripples of energy surged into the sky, attempting to destroy the space there. The experts of the 100 races had already used the powerful forbidden artifact to attack the Divine Hall. They had already discovered that the beast fur was in the Divine Hall. The forbidden artifact of the 100 races could rival the emperor armaments of the protector clans, so the attack was equivalent to an attack from the Holy Emperor. It cracked the outer walls of the Divine Hall of Yangji Zone, creating a thick crack. At this moment, a powerful pressure viciously pressed down from the sky. 18 divine halls the size of small mountains appeared in the air, slowly pressing down with extremely powerful ripples of energy and a terrifying pressure. Every single one of the 18 divine halls had been created by the Holy Emperor. They had been left behind by the ancestors of the Holy Emperor of Yangji Zone. They formed a powerful defensive formation to protect Yangji Zone. The 18 divine palaces emitted a dazzling divine light. The power of the divine palaces flowed inside, establishing an extremely obscure connection between the 18 divine palaces, allowing the 18 divine palaces to fuse into one, their defensive power becoming even stronger. It's Yangji Zone's encirclement of heaven's 18 palaces. This is their strongest defense. Don't get trapped inside. Quickly use the forbidden weapons to bombard the encirclement of heaven's 18 palaces. Afterwards, he immediately aimed the forbidden artifact at the encirclement of the 18 halls in the sky, with the expert controlling the forbidden artifact. They attacked as hard as they could. The 100-meter-long saber radiated a dazzling saber light as it rushed up from below with an unstoppable momentum towards the encirclement of heaven's 18 palaces in the sky. When the two collided, there was not the slightest sound. The might of the 100-meter-long saber was like a stone sinking into the sea, absorbed by the encirclement of heaven's 18 palaces. One forbidden artifact can't break through the defense of the encirclement of heaven's 18 palaces. All of its power will be sucked away. Hurry up and take out the second forbidden artifact. One of the experts controlling the forbidden artifact shouted. Immediately, another vast, violent ripple of energy appeared. The second forbidden artifact had been taken out by the people of the 100 races. It was a pitch-black warhammer that was controlled by a dwarf holy emperor. The three of them assisted him. The black warhammer was not large. It could be described as extremely small, only a foot long. However, it radiated with a might that did not match its size at all. It then turned into a black streak of light and flew into the sky. The warhammer and saber worked together, gathering the power of the two forbidden artifacts to bombard the encirclement of heaven's 18 halls at the same time. Finally, it exceeded the limit of the encirclement of heaven's 18 halls. With a loud boom, the 18 divine halls violently trembled. Tiny cracks appeared on every single one of them. However, with the sharing of power between the 18 halls, the cracks closed up very quickly. The encirclement of heaven's 18 halls continued to descend from the sky. Its great might caused the space below to twist violently, as if it was about to shatter. Even a holy emperor would find it difficult to escape after being trapped by the encirclement of heaven's 18 halls. Let's use the forbidden artifacts to stop them. We can't let the encirclement of heaven's 18 halls descend. Everyone else, immediately enter the divine halls of the protector clans and obtain the beast furs, an expert of the 100 races said loudly. With that, the remaining people of the 100 races immediately separated from the group. One of them took out a third forbidden artifact, and several people used it to bombard the divine hall at the same time. They broke through the outer walls and entered the divine hall. Basically, as soon as they set foot in the divine hall, the various powerful formations in the divine hall were activated. Although the formations could kill holy emperor experts, they were nothing before the forbidden artifacts of the 100 races. A violent rumble rang out from the mountains behind Yangji Zone. A mountain peak was reduced to dust in a single moment. The holy emperor experts who had gone to stop Yangji Zone were blown away as they vomited blood. At the same time, an extremely terrifying pulse of energy appeared from the forbidden grounds of the back mountains of Yangji Zone. Oh no, the emperor armament of the protector clans is about to awaken. Everyone else, go over there. We have to stop the emperor armament from awakening. We don't have a fourth forbidden artifact, an expert of the 100 races yelled out. His voice was stern. At that moment, all the experts of the 100 races were extremely united. The experts who had entered the divine hall retreated without any hesitation, rushing to the forbidden grounds of the back mountains of the Yangji sect as quickly as possible. Only a few experts with forbidden artifacts remained to break through the obstructions in the divine hall and retrieve the beast furs. An ancient sword that was over 30 meters long was stabbed into the ground in the forbidden grounds of Yangji Zone. Layers of inscriptions flickered around the sword, shining with a dazzling light. The 4 great elders of Yangji Zone all sat around the sword with their eyes closed. 2 of their clothes were in tatters as blood flowed from the corner of their mouths. The other 2 were pale, having suffered rather heavy injuries. A hazy light radiated from the sword, enveloping the 4 of them. The light seemed inconspicuous, but it possessed unbelievable power. It could prevent them from being attacked from the outside world when they used the sword. Rise! All of a sudden, all of the supreme elders sitting around Gu Jian yelled out in unison. They abruptly pressed their hands onto the formation patterns on the ground. Surging energy surged out, causing the formation patterns to burst with dazzling light. Chapter 1104. God damn it. The Emperor armament of the Protector clan seems to be much more powerful than what is recorded in the records. Let's suppress the Emperor armament quickly. We can't let it rise from the ground. A loud cry rang out from the distance. The group of experts from the 100 races who had split off from the Divine Hall hurried over. They all arrived above the sword and struck out at the hilt at the same time, preventing it from being pulled out of the ground. They even made the sword sink down slowly. Yang Jizong and the 4 great elders looked at each other when they saw this. Afterward, they all spat out a mouthful of essence blood and fused it with the Emperor armament, causing the energy within to erupt with even more ferocity. The sinking of the sword came to a halt before gradually rising up. However, it was much slower than before. The 20 experts of the 100 races all bellowed out as they suppressed the Emperor armament with all their might. However, the power of the Emperor armament had already exceeded their imaginations. Even with all of them working together, they were unable to stop the Emperor armament from rising from the ground. Bastard, put some more effort into it. The experts of the 100 races all bellowed out furiously. They knew that once the tip of the sword completely rose from the ground, it would be the time for it to truly unleash its might. However, even if they used all their strength, they were unable to completely stop the sword from rising from the ground. All they could do was buy some time. The space of the Protector clan trembled more and more violently. Thick cracks filled the space, cutting it into squares. Yang Jizong's independent space was already close to shattering. The world gate had been opened long ago, and many people in the sect scrambled to escape. Booms constantly rang out. The 2 forbidden artifacts of the 100 races fended off the encirclement of the world in the sky. The forbidden artifacts constantly attacked, preventing the encirclement of the world from descending. Inside the Divine Hall, the 3rd forbidden artifact of the 100 races constantly destroyed all the obstacles that appeared before it, heading straight for the beast fur. The Divine Hall, that had been the center of power in the Yangji sect for who knows how many years, had been reduced to a mess by the destruction. In the Forbidden Grounds, Yang Jizong and the other 3 great elders used all their strength to power the Emperor armament. Close to 20 Holy Emperor experts hovered above the Emperor armament, suppressing it together. However, they could only delay the emergence of the Emperor armament. As the Emperor armament was slowly pulled out of the ground, less and less of its tip remained in the ground. This situation only made the experts of the 100 races panic even more. The Emperor armaments of the Protector clans are just too powerful. We can't hold on for much longer. An expert of the 100 races called out as he suppressed the Emperor armament. His voice rolled out, directly reaching the experts of the 100 races who were using the forbidden artifacts to open a path. At this moment, in Yang Jizong's Divine Hall, the experts who controlled the 3rd forbidden artifact had already arrived at the highest floor of the Divine Hall. They stopped in front of a thick stone door. Above the stone door, there were 3 bold and powerful words carved into it: Treasure Pavilion. The beast fur is in there. Let's use the forbidden artifact to break through the door, an expert yelled out. An expert shouted. Then, he and the others worked together to control the forbidden artifacts to strike the stone door. However, the stone door was extremely tough. After taking 3 strikes from the forbidden artifacts, only a tiny crack appeared on it. Don't stop. Let's use the power of the forbidden artifact as much as we can, a person called out. He immediately stopped holding back and used everything he had. Under the desperate control of the 4 great elders of Yang Jizong, the ancient sword finally emerged from the ground after withstanding the suppression of close to 20 experts of the 100 races. The tip of the sword was clearly exposed to the sunlight. Immediately, a vast presence surged out, causing all the experts of the 100 races to shiver. Yang Jizong and the 4 great elders constantly formed seals with their hands. They used a secret technique to control the Emperor armament. Immediately, a terrifying pulse of energy radiated from the Emperor armament, blowing all the experts of the 100 races away. Afterward, the Emperor armament flipped in the air. The hilt faced down while the tip of the sword pointed to the sky. Yangji Zong and the four great elders just happened to be below the hilt. Experts of the 100 races, I will make you pay for invading our Yangji Zone. One of the great elders of Yangji Zone furiously bellowed out. Afterward, the four of them worked together to control the Emperor armament, swinging it toward the experts of the 100 races who had suppressed the Emperor armament with a devastating might. The Emperor armament was much more powerful than the forbidden artifact. With a single slash, space was immediately obliterated. The independent space that Yangji Zong had occupied for 1,000,000 years collapsed piece by piece. The independent space that was already on the verge of collapse could no longer endure the continuous attacks, so it began to collapse bit by bit. The four great elders of Yangji Zong had basically cast aside all their worries. They only wanted to kill all the experts of the 100 races and wash away their humiliation. The expressions of all the experts of the 100 races drastically changed. The terrifying presence from the Emperor armament made them shiver inside. There was also a mysterious power that restrained them, making them move sluggishly as if they had fallen into a swamp. Don't split up. Gather together and use your strongest attacks to forcefully resist the Emperor armament, or there's only death waiting for you, one of the 100 races yelled. A saint of the 100 races called out. The energy around him immediately surged, and a huge statue that was 100 meters tall appeared from his body. His muscles bulged, and he was filled with explosive power. This was a ruler of the giants. He was renowned and had once been an extremely terrifying holy emperor. He could reign supreme among the 100 races. A giant had already used a secret technique to conjure the image of a ruler. At the same time, another 100-meter-tall statue appeared. It was a beautiful woman who only seemed to be in her 20s. She radiated with an otherworldly presence, otherworldly, divine, and noble. She had 6 transparent wings on her back. She was an elven goddess that had only existed in legends among the elves. She had never appeared since ancient times, so no one knew whether she really existed or not. Afterward, the experts of various races all used their abilities and secret techniques to conjure their ancestors. They worked together to fend off the Emperor armament. Several ancestors and legendary figures of various races were conjured out of energy. They possessed various appearances and pulsed with tremendous energy as they fended off the Emperor armament. The Emperor armament rapidly slashed over, colliding with the powerful secret techniques from the experts of the 100 races with an unstoppable force. This was the collision of 2 extremely powerful forces, causing the sky to tremble. The speed at which this independent space was collapsing was getting faster and faster. All the secret techniques from the experts of the 100 races were destroyed. All of them vomited blood as they retreated uncontrollably. They were all heavily injured. The Emperor armaments of the Protector clans were just too powerful. Only experts like the Holy Emperor could forcefully resist them. Even if they worked together, it would not be enough. At the center of the Yangji sect, the experts of the 100 races continued to use the 2 forbidden artifacts to fend off the encirclement of the 18 halls. At this moment, the encirclement of the 18 halls suddenly shone with dazzling light. A powerful and peaceful energy surged out from the halls, fusing with the space there and stabilizing the collapsing space temporarily. In the forbidden grounds, the Emperor armament hovered in the air. It radiated with a frightening presence as it charged toward the people of the 100 races under the control of Yangji Zong and the other 3 great elders. We can't take it head-on. Let's go. After personally experiencing the might of the Emperor armament, the experts of the 100 races no longer dared to receive it. They all fled in the direction of the forbidden artifact. The Emperor armament pursued them closely. It chased after the experts of the 100 races with devastating power. Let's use one of the forbidden artifacts to fend off the Emperor armament. The Saint King at great perfection, who controlled the blade, coldly said before controlling the 100-meter-long blade with his companion to receive the Emperor armament. The forbidden artifact and the Emperor armament clashed with unparalleled might. This was a clash between the strongest weapons of the 2 races. With a boom, the Emperor armament violently collided with the forbidden artifact of the 100 Races. The destructive shockwaves from the collision were without a doubt terrifying. The space around Yangji Zone that had just stabilized began to collapse once again. The two weapons clashed, and the forbidden artifact was repelled. The two great perfection experts who controlled the forbidden artifact both vomited blood as they staggered back. They were already heavily injured. The encirclement of the 18 halls in the sky gave up on suppressing the people of the 100 Races. The 18 divine halls flew high into the sky and landed in 18 different directions. They all vanished into space at the same time. The power of the divine halls secretly connected, borrowing from each other and becoming one. They forcefully stabilized the space with their power, stopping the collapse of the space. Without the encirclement of the 18 halls, the second forbidden artifact of the 100 Races became free. It then combined the two forbidden artifacts to fend off the Emperor armament, engaging in a fierce battle with the Emperor armament of the Protector clans. Under the protection of the encirclement of the 18 halls, the independent space actually became extremely tough. It forcefully endured the terrifying shockwaves from the clash between the Emperor armament and the two forbidden artifacts. At this moment, 3 furious roars rang out. Yangji Zong and the 3 great elders returned from outside. They charged into the barrier of light from the Emperor armament with lightning-like speed and controlled the Emperor armament with the combined power of the 7 of them. Even the great elders had no idea just how powerful the Emperor armament of the Protector clans was, because even if they all worked together, they would not be able to unleash the full power of the Emperor armament. However, the more people that worked together, the greater the power of the Emperor armament would be. With the addition of the 3 great elders, the power of the Emperor armament immediately skyrocketed, directly suppressing the 2 forbidden artifacts of the 100 Races. We have to hold on. They'll suffer a huge backlash from using the Emperor armament. They won't be able to last much longer. A great perfection expert called out. An expert of the 100 Races called out. He knew the drawbacks of the Emperor armaments like the back of his hand. The power of the Emperor armament of the Protector clans has far exceeded our expectations. If I had known earlier, I would have brought the War God Hall over. A Hall Elder of the War God Hall said reluctantly. There's also the Elven God Tree of our race. If we had brought the Elven God Tree over, we would have been able to restrain the Emperor armament of the Protector clans, preventing it from unleashing its full power, an elf said through gritted teeth. There's also the Heaven's Guard personally forged by our ancestor. Even the Holy Emperor can't break through it. If the Heaven's Guard was here, the Emperor armament of the Protector clans wouldn't be unstoppable, a dwarf added. Chapter 1105. At this moment, the experts who had entered Yangji Zong's divine hall to retrieve the beast furs emerged. They called out, "We've obtained them. All right, let's leave immediately." A Hall Elder of the War God Hall immediately gave the order to retreat. Afterward, all the people of the 100 Races gathered together and used the 3 forbidden artifacts to fend off the Emperor armament as they left. The people of the 100 Races immediately ripped open a space gate and left after leaving Yangji Zong's space. The great elders of Yangji Zong did not want to let them go so easily. The 7 of them chased after them with their Emperor armaments, but they were unable to stop the people of the 100 Races from leaving. The burly, middle-aged man, Guihai Dao, sat on the wave-breaking blade in the forbidden grounds of the Tyrant's Blade School. His eyes were closed as he sat on the hilt of the wave-breaking blade. The pure energy hidden within the blade constantly flowed into Guihai Dao's body. Guihai Dao had been absorbing the energy within the Emperor armament to cultivate during this time, so his strength increased extremely quickly. He had already reached the 3rd heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, which was astounding. Suddenly, Guihai Dao opened his eyes. His gaze seemed to be able to pierce through space and see the world outside. The moment he opened his eyes, 2 visible bolts of lightning shot out, disappearing in a flash. Although Guihai Dao was only at the 3rd heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, he gave off an unfathomable feeling. Suddenly, the miniature world where the Tyrant's Blade School resided began to violently tremble. A huge spatial crack appeared in the air. The independent space where the tyrant's blade school resided had been ripped apart by a supreme force from the outside world. Soon after, a group of experts from the 100 races charged in with forbidden artifacts. The alarm bell of the tyrant's blade school rang out. It boomed through the entire sect. The tyrant's blade school had become extremely cautious due to the return of Guihai Idao. They were afraid that the news would leak out before their founding ancestor had recovered his strength, which would draw enemies. As soon as they heard the alarm, everyone immediately tensed up. They all emerged from their rooms at the same time. Even some experts in seclusion immediately emerged. In the Supreme Divine Hall of the Tyrant's Blade School, a few Supreme Elders walked out with serious expressions. When they recognized the intruders, their expressions changed drastically, and they cried out, "Oh no, it's the people of the 100 races. They must know that our progenitor has returned and want to kill him before he recovers. I didn't expect the 100 races to be so well-informed. This must be the doing of the other guardian families. They don't want our primogenitor to recover his strength and become an existence above them. We have to use all our trump cards. No matter what, we have to protect our primogenitor. We would rather die to protect the primogenitor." The Supreme Elders of the Tyrant's Blade School all spoke. Determination flooded their eyes. At that moment, all of them no longer cared about their own lives. The experts of the 100 races used forbidden artifacts to open a path, directly flying towards the Supreme Divine Hall of the Tyrant's Blade School. Meanwhile, the 6 Supreme Elders summoned a Divine Hall and hid inside before aggressively flying towards the experts of the 100 races. Faced with so many Holy Emperor experts, the Supreme Elders of the Tyrant's Blade School could not charge up and face them head-on. They could only use their trump cards to fend them off. Every single one of the 6 Divine Halls expanded to 1,000 meters wide. They hovered in the air like small mountains as they charged fearlessly at the experts of the 100 races. Use the forbidden artifacts to destroy their divine halls. An expert of the 100 races called out. Immediately, another 3 forbidden artifacts were summoned. The group of people possessed a total of 4 forbidden artifacts. Although the forbidden artifacts were not as powerful as the Emperor armaments of the Protector clans, every single one of them had been passed down from ancient times. They were the weapons of the Holy Emperor of the 100 races in the past. Now, every single forbidden artifact was controlled by 2 to 5 Holy Emperor experts, so the power they could unleash was no weaker than an attack from a Holy Emperor. Boom! We don't have much time, so we need to move quickly. Use the 4 forbidden artifacts to attack a single divine hall and destroy them one by one. An expert of the 100 races called out. The controllers of the other 3 forbidden artifacts all changed their targets. At that moment, the 4 forbidden artifacts all targeted a single divine hall before attacking with all their might. With a great boom, one of the divine halls was directly smashed to pieces, falling from the sky as rubble. The great elder hiding in the divine hall flew toward a nearby divine hall with lightning-like speed. However, before the great elder could approach the divine hall, a tremendous presence locked onto him, causing the space around him to freeze at that moment. An expert of the 100 races, even more powerful than him, had already attacked him. After a few exchanges, the great elder was heavily injured. At the same time, the 4 forbidden artifacts worked together again. They continued toward a second divine hall with extremely powerful ripples of energy. A single forbidden artifact was no weaker than a Holy Emperor's attack, so the simultaneous attack of 4 forbidden artifacts was several times more powerful. Regular divine halls would not be able to endure a single strike. Suddenly, an extremely powerful blade chi radiated from the forbidden grounds of the back mountains of the Tyrant's Blade School. A 30-meter-long machete flew out with lightning-like speed, heading toward the 4 forbidden artifacts. The machete collided with the 4 forbidden artifacts in the air, erupting with a deafening boom. Terrifying ripples of energy wreaked havoc in the air, expanding in all directions like a storm. It ripped through space, creating huge spatial cracks, causing the entire region to violently tremble. It actually began to collapse. The 4 forbidden artifacts of 100 races were repelled by the machete. They flew back to hover above the controller's head, while the 30-meter-long machete stabbed into the ground with the tip pointing down and the hilt pointing up. It gave off a domineering aura of supremacy, as if it was the true ruler of the world. Not only did the machete block the 4 forbidden artifacts and protect the divine hall, but also stunned all the people of the 100 races. That's the Emperor armament of the Protector clans. Wait, why is their Emperor armament much more powerful than what is recorded in the records? An expert of the 100 races stared at the machete and growled. According to the records, several holy emperors need to use a secret technique to use the Emperor armament's power. It takes quite a long time. The way the Emperor armament appears is completely different from what is recorded in the records, said the Hall Elder of the War God Hall. He was filled with doubt. In the air, the 5 great elders of the Tyrant's Blade School stopped in their divine halls. The 5 of them appeared at the entrance of the divine halls as they stared at the Emperor armament in the center sternly. All of them were filled with worry. They knew that their founding ancestor, Guihai Idao, who was cultivating in the forbidden grounds, had taken action. However, the founding ancestor had yet to fully recover his strength. So how could he be the opponent of the 100 races? The great elders all began to worry for their founding ancestor's safety. The space where the Tyrant's Blade School resided in constantly shook. Pitch-black cracks crisscrossed in the sky as the space there constantly collapsed. At this moment, a human figure stepped out from the forbidden grounds. He did not give off any aura and looked like an ordinary person. However, every step he took covered a distance of over 1,000 meters. His movements were calm and unhurried. This person was Guihai Idao. Under the gazes of all the experts of the 100 races, Guihai Idao stepped through the air calmly. In the end, he sat down on the hilt of the wave-breaking blade of the Tyrant's Blade School. He calmly glanced past the people of the 100 races. He was composed, as if he did not take them seriously at all. He then pointed at the sky, and 18 divine palaces immediately emerged from the void. Every one of them gave off a tremendous pressure. The 18 divine palaces were secretly connected, sharing their energy as if they were a single entity. They then split into 18 directions and merged into the void, causing the collapsing void to quickly stabilize. Furthermore, the collapsing void was slowly recovering. The experts of the 100 races became stern. Although Guihai Idao's presence was not powerful, they could sense that he was in control of the world, which shocked them greatly. This was because even the experts of the Holy Emperor did not feel this way. "Who are you?" An expert of the 100 races asked with a heavy voice. He glared at Guihai Idao, directly ignoring the great elder who controlled the divine halls. "I'm Guihai Idao." Guihai Idao's voice was extremely calm, but it gave off an unfathomable feeling to the experts of the 100 races. Even the expression of the Holy Emperor at great perfection would change when faced with the 4 forbidden artifacts and so many experts of the 100 races. Yet Guihai Idao remained so calm. This did not make sense. Who cares who he is? Let's go together. We have to obtain it no matter what price we have to pay. A forbidden artifact master of the forbidden artifact yelled out. He immediately controlled the forbidden artifact to slash at Guihai Idao with a terrifying energy shockwave. At the same time, the other 3 forbidden artifacts launched attacks as well. With a terrifying might that could destroy the world, they attacked Guihai Idao from 4 different directions. Guihai Idao's expression did not change. He suddenly drifted over, and the 30-meter-long blade immediately shrank to a length of 1 meter before flying into his hand. Chapter 1106. The wave-breaking blade shone with a dazzling light. An extremely dense blade, Qi, enveloped Guihai Idao, protecting him with the power of the Emperor armament. Guihai Idao moved. He slowly slashed out with the wave-breaking saber in his hand. The saber carried the mysteries of space and contained the truths of the world. It looked soft, but it contained unbelievable strength. It struck the 4 forbidden artifacts at the same time. Ding, 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 ding. With 4 metallic sounds, Guihai Yidao blocked the attacks of the 4 forbidden artifacts with just a single strike. Every single forbidden artifact was no weaker than a normal strike from Holy Emperor. Guihai Yidao's strike this time was equivalent to forcefully blocking an attack from 4 Holy Emperor experts. Guihai Yidao did not use his own power. Instead, he used the power of the wave-breaking blade. The wave-breaking blade was his weapon in the first place. So even though it had been fused with the power of over 100 Emperor armaments, Guihai Yidao could still control it like an extension of his arm. He could unleash the full power of the Emperor armament without suffering a backlash like other people. The 4 forbidden artifacts were all knocked away. The experts of the 100 races spent a lot of effort to regain control of them, while the wave-breaking blade remained firmly in Guihai Yidao's hand. The Emperor armaments of the Protector clans had been fused with the power of over 100 Emperor armaments, so their power was far greater than the forbidden artifacts of the 100 races. In terms of pure energy, the Emperor armaments of the Protector clans were much more powerful than the Holy Emperor. The Emperor armament is far too powerful. Let's fuse the 4 forbidden artifacts together and use the bloodstain technique to break through it. The Hall Elder of the War God Hall called out. The masters of the other 3 forbidden artifacts did not hesitate at all when they heard that. They immediately gathered the 4 forbidden artifacts together, and then all of them spat out a mouthful of essence blood onto the forbidden artifacts. Immediately, the forbidden artifacts became much more powerful. After spitting out a mouthful of essence blood, they immediately became haggard. Not only did the essence blood contain their essence, but it also contained their life force. It was a form of self-harm. Terrifying pulses of energy surged from the 4 forbidden artifacts. They seemed to have turned into a huge dragon that wanted to soar into the sky before charging toward Guihai Yidao with a devastating presence. Wherever they passed, space shattered like a mirror. Even with the 18 divine halls stabilizing the space, they were unable to endure the devastating attack. Guihai Yidao remained the same as before. He said nonchalantly, "100 races, with me here, you won't be able to shake the foundation of the Tyrant's Blade School. You better retreat now." As he said that, Guihai Yidao suddenly tossed out the wave-breaking blade in his hand. As soon as the blade left Guihai Yidao's hand, it immediately expanded to 100 meters long, shooting toward the 4 forbidden artifacts with a terrifying glow. The wave-breaking blade collided with the 4 forbidden artifacts with unparalleled might, but there was no great sound. Instead, they came to a stalemate in the air. The tip of the wave-breaking blade stopped a meter away from the 4 forbidden artifacts. The 2 supreme powers clashed and fought against each other. Between the wave-breaking saber and the 4 forbidden artifacts, the space there had already turned into darkness. It did not close up even after a long time. With that, as the center, the space within several hundred meters distorted intensely, causing time to become blurry. Every one of the 100 races, do you still want to keep fighting? Guihai Yidao hovered in the air calmly. Although his personal strength was nothing in the eyes of the experts of the 100 races, he could use his control over the Emperor armament like an extension of his arm to stop all of them by himself. The experts of the 100 races all remained silent. They were all deeply shocked by the power of the Emperor armaments. They knew that they had not lost to Guihai Yidao in this battle, but to the Emperor armament. The experts of the 100 races who did not control any forbidden artifacts looked at each other when they saw the Emperor armament and the 4 forbidden artifacts clash. They all charged toward Guihai Yidao as if they were connected. Protect the founding ancestor. With the experts of the 100 races moving, the great elders of the Tyrant's Blade School who controlled the divine halls moved as well. They all controlled the divine halls to fall from the sky and smash them toward the experts of the 100 races. Guihai Yidao gently sighed. "Looks like you're still stubborn." Guihai Yidao gently extended a finger. Immediately, several powerful beams of light shot out from the wave-breaking blade that faced off against the 4 forbidden artifacts. As a streak of white light, they shot towards the experts of the 100 races with unbelievable speed. The streaks of light vaguely contained the might of the Holy Emperor. The sharp blade, Qi, seemed to be able to cut through space. Its power was unimaginable, making it impossible for the experts of the 100 Races to block or dodge. Spurt, before the great elders of the Tyrant's Blade School could land with their divine halls, the streaks of light from the wave-breaking blade directly pierced through the bodies of the experts of the 100 Races. They only left behind extremely tiny wounds on their chests, but they did not even bleed. This was because the blood near the wounds had evaporated the moment the streaks of light passed through them. The experts of the 100 Races were shocked. They immediately lowered their heads to look at their chests, and their faces paled. They could already sense that their organs had silently vanished. But what terrified them was that they did not feel any pain at all. "I don't want to kill you, or you'd all be dead already," Guihai Yidao indifferently said. Guihai Yidao looked calmly at the experts of the 100 Races who were shocked out of their wits as he spoke nonchalantly. The experts of the 100 Races staggered backwards in fright. At that moment, they finally understood just how terrifying the middle-aged man who was not as powerful as them was. It filled them with dread. Guihai Yidao then looked at the experts of the 100 Races who controlled the forbidden artifacts. He helplessly shook his head and gently said, "Wave-breaking blade, after so many years, you've fused with the power of so many Emperor armaments. Your strength has far surpassed the Emperor armaments. Erupt. Show them your strength." A gleam of light flashed through Guihai Yidao's eyes, but in the next moment, an indescribably powerful force erupted from the wave-breaking blade. It immediately broke the balance with the 4 forbidden artifacts, sending them flying far away. They smashed into 4 distant mountains, reducing them to dust. The terrifying ripples of energy continued to spread toward the experts of the 100 Races who controlled the forbidden artifacts, forcing them all to rapidly retreat. They were unable to stop themselves at all. At the same time, the ripples of energy contained a sharp blade Qi, which passed through their bodies and heavily injured all of them. Blood spurted from all the experts of the 100 Races. They all became pale white as they became extremely shocked. They had 30 Holy Emperor-level experts, and there were many at great perfection among them. They found it very hard to believe that the 4 forbidden artifacts were not enough to fend off the Emperor armaments of the Protector clans. Impossible, impossible. This is definitely impossible. The Emperor armaments of the Protector clans aren't that powerful. A Hall elder of the war god Hall cried out in fright. Disbelief was written all over his face. He had read about the Emperor armaments of the Protector clans in the records of the war god Hall, so he had an extremely good understanding of their power. That's only because the person who controls the Emperor armament is someone else. They're not the master of the Emperor armament, so they obviously can't use the true power of the Emperor armament. Even the Holy Emperor can't use it, Guihai Yidao calmly replied. Guihai Yidao said calmly as he stood with his hands behind his back. The wave-breaking saber returned to its original length and stabbed into the ground by his feet. It radiated with a presence of supremacy. The people of the 100 Races failed to understand the deeper meaning behind Guihai Yidao's words because they did not dare to think that Guihai Yidao was the founder of the Tyrant's Blade School, the true master of the Emperor armament. "Let's go." A holy emperor at great perfection of the 100 Races waved his hand and retreated decisively. The other experts of the 100 Races no longer dared to stay either. They glanced at the wave-breaking blade stabbed in the ground by Guihai Yidao's feet in lingering fear before retreating. They all knew that Guihai Yidao had already shown mercy, where the Emperor armament would have been enough to kill them all easily. The people of the 100 Races retreated rather quickly. They had all left in the blink of an eye, only leaving behind a mess to witness what had just happened. "Founder, the 100 Races have actually begun to invade our Protector clans. They've gone too far. Why don't we keep them here? Founder, why don't we wipe out the experts of the 100 Races? If we wipe them out, the 100 Races will definitely suffer a heavy loss." The great elders of the Tyrant's Blade School all arrived before Guihai Yidao and asked politely after the people of the 100 Races had retreated. They were confused, but at the same time, they were all filled with shock. They had never thought that the founder who had not recovered his strength would be so terrifying. Guihai Idao gently shook his head and said, "The 100 races are not as simple as you imagine them to be. Their background is very powerful, and we can't afford to offend them. You must remember to avoid becoming enemies with the 100 races in the future." The great elders became even more doubtful with that. One of them said, "Founder, the 10 protector clans in Mercenary City are the most powerful on the Tian Yuan continent. The Beast God continent has the 3 Holy Emperor and the Beast God Hall, so it's not like we can't contend with them. The Sea Realm only guards its own territory and never competes with us. I really don't understand just what kind of background the 100 races have that we fear. There are some things that you're better off not knowing. If you want to know, wait until you've surpassed the Holy Emperor. I'll obviously tell you once you've reached the Origin Realm." With that, Guihai Idao returned to the Forbidden Grounds with his wave-breaking blade, leaving the great elders standing there in confusion. The Yangji Zone and the Tyrant's Blade School were not the only protector clans that had been attacked by the 100 races. The Shinshao sect, the Patian sect, the Heaven's Incense School, and the Mayuan clan had also been attacked. However, aside from the Tyrant's Blade School, who had repelled the 100 races, the other 5 protector clans had all had their divine halls breached and their beast furs stolen. They had suffered extremely heavy losses. Chapter 11:07. The 8 groups of the 100 races attacked 6 of the 10 protector clans first and took back 5 beast furs, including the 2 that had been lost on the Tian Yuan continent. They had taken back a total of 7 beast furs. After taking back the 7 beast furs, the 8 groups were unwilling to just let the matter rest. They gathered together and gathered in Mercenary City once more. They hovered above the city and attacked with forbidden artifacts. Every single one of the 8 groups from the 100 races had a forbidden artifact on them, ranging from a minimum of 2 to a maximum of 4. A total of over 20 forbidden artifacts bombarded Mercenary City. The terrifying shockwaves of energy caused the ground to tremble and space to be obliterated. Mercenary City was immediately sealed off due to the invasion. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City, Tian Jian, personally led a group of elders into the city from an independent space. However, when they saw over 200 Holy Emperor experts outside the barrier, they all became extremely stern. Basically, all the Holy Emperor experts of the 100 races had gathered here. Mercenary City was indeed very powerful, the only organization on the Tian Yuan continent that could stand on equal footing with the 10 protector clans. However, fending off all the Holy Emperor experts of the 100 races alone was like trying to strike a rock with an egg. Mercenary City did not possess an Emperor armament like the 10 protector clans. It only had the Divine Hall that Mo Tanyan had left behind that could be used for both offense and defense. However, only Saint Emperors could use it. The fact that the 100 races had attacked Mercenary City with over 20 forbidden artifacts shocked all the upper echelon of Mercenary City. All the elders had appeared. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th elders were all at the 8th or 9th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. The 6th, 7th, and 8th elders were also at the Holy Emperor level. The weakest among them was at the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor level. The 8 Holy Emperor elders of Mercenary City had all appeared at that moment. They all stared at the sky sternly. At the same time, 6 beggar-like old men in linen robes and disheveled hair walked out of the space gate in an extremely remote, independent space. Their messy hair covered their appearances, making it impossible to see their faces clearly. Only a few deep wrinkles could be vaguely seen. As soon as the 6 beggar-like old men appeared, many elders of Mercenary City immediately cast respectful gazes at them. The 6 old men were also elders of Mercenary City, but they rarely appeared before the public and never interfered with the matters of Mercenary City. They always cultivated in an independent space, so very few people knew of their existence. It's the elders Ku, Bai, and the others. I never thought they would still be alive. I heard that the 6 elders were from the same generation as Grand Elder Tian Jian, and they're even a few years older than Grand Elder Tian Jian. They've all reached the great perfection of the Holy Emperor level. They've used 10,000-year-old heavenly resources to extend their lifespans for 200 years, which is why they've survived until now. They only have 100 years left, an elderly holy emperor elder of Mercenary City softly said. In the current world, becoming a holy emperor was already an extremely difficult matter. The holy emperor experts of every race were gradually declining, especially the 10 protector clans and Mercenary City. The inheritance of holy emperor experts had never stopped since ancient times. Whenever a holy emperor passed away, a new holy emperor would be born. There had never been a break in the inheritance. But now, whether it was the protector clans or Mercenary City, the holy emperor experts had all ceased to exist for over 10,000 years. The only holy emperor, the Path Lord of Carnal Desires, had betrayed the Pure Heart Pavilion and created the path of the 7 emotions and 6 desires before becoming a holy emperor. As a result, in the current world where holy emperors were rare, holy emperor experts at great perfection were basically invincible existences. Including Tianjin, Mercenary City had 7 holy emperor experts at great perfection. Their heritage was far greater than any protector clans. The 6 beggar-like holy emperor experts at great perfection stood side by side. Although they did not give off any presences at all, they seemed to have fused with the world, becoming a miniature world. It was as if they represented the heavens, as a pressing pressure radiated from them. The eyes of the 6 of them were like torches. Although they were extremely old, they were full of energy. Their sharp gazes seemed to have transformed into sharp swords that shot out like lightning, causing the space in front of them to slightly distort. What's wrong with the 100 races? They're actually attacking our Mercenary City. Looks like the 100 races have been living too peacefully. We can't just let this matter slide. We have to gather all the experts in the world and suppress the 100 races together. A few Saint Ruler elders of Mercenary City all spoke in righteous indignation. They were all furious. The holy emperor elders of Mercenary City all stared at the 100 races who constantly attacked the barrier. They remained silent, but a cold light flickered through their eyes. Over 200 experts had come this time, and they were all holy emperor. They had brought over 20 forbidden artifacts as well. This force was not something the holy emperor experts of Mercenary City could contend against. They could only rely on their heritage from ancient times to protect themselves. They won't be able to get through the barrier. Even if Saint Emperors personally come, they won't be able to invade Mercenary City. Immediately contact the 10 protector clans, the various ancient clans, and the people of the 3 great empires. The experts of the 100 races are invading, so get them to provide assistance as soon as possible and protect the dignity of our continent, Tianjin said. He was extremely composed. Yes, Grand Elder. The news of the 100 races invading Mercenary City was spread to the protector clans, the ancient clans, and the 3 empires through a secret technique. It immediately led to a huge uproar. The Yuan sect, Heartless sect, Chanyang Prefecture, and Pure Heart Pavilion that had not been attacked all sent out their experts. They directly ripped open space and hurried over as reinforcements. The 5 protector clans that had lost their beast furs were even more straightforward. They all hurried to Mercenary City with their injured bodies and emperor armaments. They swore that they would fight the 100 races to the death because not only had the 100 races taken away the beast furs after destroying their divine halls, they had also plundered the place. They had taken away a large number of treasures, causing them to suffer extremely heavy losses. Even the ancient clans and the 3 empires sent the Holy Emperor as reinforcements. Only the people from the Tyrant's Blade School did not appear. At the same time, the barrier of Mercenary City showed its might as well. The entire barrier became even brighter than usual. It did not attack the experts of the 100 races, but instead reflected all the attacks that the experts of the 100 races sent at the barrier. The forbidden artifacts of the 100 races were treasures that had been passed down since ancient times. They were the weapons of the Holy Emperor in the past, and were extremely powerful. Now that they were controlled by several Holy Emperor experts, every single one of them could unleash an attack that was equivalent to an attack from a holy emperor. The barrier of Mercenary City reflected all the attacks, which was equivalent to over 20 holy emperor experts attacking the 100 races. The 100 races were shocked. They immediately used the forbidden artifacts to block the attacks, causing them to become flustered. A few of the weaker people had already become quite injured from the shockwaves of the battle. "We can't take Mercenary City anymore. Let's go," an expert of the 100 races decisively ordered. The reinforcements from the Tianyuan continent had already arrived. They knew that if they stayed, a vicious battle would be unavoidable. The losses would be unimaginable. The experts of the 100 races no longer lingered on the battle. Before the reinforcements could surround them, they ripped open space and left. The experts of the 100 races retreated from the Tianyuan continent. However, their invasion this time had without a doubt caused a great disturbance. Although it did not affect the lower-class cultivators, the higher-class cultivators were extremely shocked. In particular, the 5 protector clans who had been robbed of a large number of treasures were furious. Their killing intent and fury had reached a boiling point. They swore that they would use all the power of the Tianyuan continent to flatten the 100 races. Soon afterward, the representatives of the various peak organizations of the Tianyuan continent all headed to Mercenary City. They held a grand meeting that had not been seen in several tens of thousand years, solemnly discussing the invasion of the 100 races. Over half of them suggested that they should use all the power of the Tianyuan continent to flatten the 100 races and avenge their humiliation. Only an extremely small number of people suggested that they should consider the bigger picture and that there was no need for a war. The two sides argued extremely intensely. In the end, a great elder of the Tyrant's Blade School arrived at Mercenary City. He stated that the Tyrant's Blade School would not participate in the war against the 100 races. He also explained that although the 100 races had declined, their heritage was so great that they were no weaker than the Protector clans. Once they invaded the 100 races, the Tianyuan continent would definitely suffer heavy losses, which would give the Beast God continent an opportunity. A great elder of the Pure Heart Pavilion stepped forward after the Tyrant's Blade School. She said, "The 100 races have only invaded the Tianyuan continent to take back a few things. They haven't done anything that the world cannot tolerate. So why must we go to war and cause rivers of blood to flow between the two races? Do you really want to see corpses litter the ground before you stop?" Afterward, the representatives of a few other large organizations voiced their objections. They all had their own reasons and were considering the bigger picture. In the end, the war against the 100 races on the Tianyuan continent was forced to come to an end. Without everyone's support, there was no chance of victory at all if half of the continent's forces were sent to invade the 100 races. The 100 races had settled down on the wasteland continent for so long, so they could be described as deeply rooted. Their heritage was not weak, and each race possessed powerful forbidden artifacts. They had only brought a portion of them this time. Before long, a secret letter was sent to the representatives of the various organizations, shocking all of them. After attacking Mercenary City, the experts of the 100 races had actually gone to the Beast God continent to attack the Beast God Hall. The 3 emperors of the Beast God Hall had all been mobilized. Lankiros was surrounded by 3 forbidden artifacts and was heavily injured. Several dozen experts who cultivated in the Beast God Hall had gone out to receive the enemy, but over a dozen of them were slain by the forbidden artifacts in the end. All of them were wiped out, and even more were injured. The battle involved the participation of the Holy Emperor. The battle between the many experts of the Beast God Hall and the 200 or so Holy Emperor of the 100 races was extremely intense. The world shook, and the sun and moon dimmed. Most of the Beast God continent shook as waves surged into the sky. All the experts who cultivated overseas could sense the terrifying presence. However, the 100 races still did not attack the Beast God Hall. The Beast God Hall was no ordinary divine hall. It had been left behind by the ancient divine beast, the winged tiger. Its defenses were so great that even the Holy Emperor was unable to damage it. The 100 races had failed to damage the Beast God Hall even with all their forbidden artifacts. In the end, they could only retreat helplessly after losing over a dozen experts. The invasion of the Beast God continent by the 100 races immediately shocked all the peak organizations on the Tianyuan continent once again. No one had thought that the 100 races would be so bold. They had first attacked the headquarters of the 10 protector clans in Mercenary City before attacking the Beast God continent. Were they digging their own graves? The Beast God continent was an existence that the Tianyuan continent feared. They possessed 3 holy emperor, so who would dare to challenge them? Chapter 1108. Not only did the large-scale invasion of the 100 races shake up the Tianyuan continent, but even the Beast God continent was thrown into an uproar. At the very center of the Beast God continent was the 99-floored Beast God Hall. An area of several hundred kilometers around the Beast God Hall had become an extremely deep pit. One could vaguely hear the sound of waves crashing in the pitch-black pit while the Beast God Hall hovered high above. In the center of the pit, the place had originally been a forest filled with towering trees, but it had been reduced to a bottomless pit due to the battle between the 100 races and the Beast God Hall. The ground in the distance had even sunk in. At this moment, on the 98th floor of the Beast God Hall, in the silent hall, the burly Wang Zheng stood there with a gloomy expression. His sharp eyes stared into the distance with a monstrous killing intent that could not be concealed. He was looking in the direction of the wasteland continent where the 100 races resided. 100 races, you really are getting bolder and bolder. You actually dare to act so recklessly in my Beast God Hall. If it weren't for the fact that I've been injured by origin energy, making it difficult for me to heal, I would be able to flatten the entire 100 races by myself, Kaiser growled. His voice was filled with killing intent. All the experts of the 100 races had returned to the wasteland continent. The Central War God Hall hovered in the air as it radiated with a tremendous presence. It was ready for battle, ready to defend against the invasion of the Tianyuan continent and the Beast God continent at any time. The Divine Hall was the spiritual pillar of the 100 races as well as their ultimate treasure. It could be used for both offense and defense, and its defense was astonishing. It had been passed down since ancient times and was far more powerful than any forbidden artifact of the 100 races. At the same time, the experts of the various races all returned to their clans. All their ultimate treasures were ready. The dwarves had already summoned the Heaven's Guard while the elves had awakened the Elven God Tree. All the races were fully prepared, ready to fend off the combined attacks of the Beast God continent and the Tianyuan continent at any time. Before the invasion of the Tianyuan continent and the Beast God continent, the experts of the 100 races had already made the appropriate arrangements. Although they were not as powerful as the 2 continents, they still possessed their heritage. In an era where existences that surpassed the Holy Emperor were extinct and Holy Emperor experts were rare, they no longer feared the invasion of the 2 continents. The dwarf race's heaven shield was famous in ancient times. Back then, the dwarf race's Holy Emperor wielded the heaven's shield and was able to block the attacks of several powerhouses of the same level. Once the heaven's shield was used, even the Holy Emperor found it difficult to break through. The Elven race's Elven Ancient Divine Tree was also very mysterious. It had already gained sentience and had survived since ancient times. Its majestic life aura had turned a desert into an oasis. It had always been the symbol of the elf clan. Its branches were flexible, and although it did not have the slightest bit of offensive power, it was able to trap masters like the Holy Emperor. Its vitality was endless, and it could not be killed or cut off. Even if it was smashed into pieces, it could still grow back in an instant. It was just that it could not leave the place where it took root. Aside from these 2 races, the other races all had their own trump cards. None of them could be underestimated. At the same time, the War God clan used all their power to search for the new War God on the entire Wasteland continent. However, none of them knew that the new War God was not born on the Wasteland continent, but on the Tianyuan continent. It was only because the first War God was born on the Wasteland continent that they mistakenly believed that the new War God was also born on the Wasteland continent. Dragon Island was completely cut off from the rest of the world. The commotion that happened on the Tianyuan continent did not spread here. Jinshan and Blackfish remained where they were to protect Taita, preventing any zombies from interfering. The golden light around Taita was dense. Right now, he was like the scorching sun in the sky. He radiated with dazzling light, dyeing the entire Dragon Island golden. His tremendous battle intent filled the entire Dragon Island. It was extremely powerful, and it seemed like it could crush space. A few Saint Ruler corpses on the island were pressed to the ground by the battle intent, unable to get up. Beastly roars rang out from all directions. Taita's breakthrough had caused far too great of a disturbance, alarming the zombies wandering aimlessly on the island. A large group of Holy Emperor zombies charged over from all directions. They could already endure the pressure from Taita's battle intent. Swish! Swish! Blackfish and Jinshan vanished as streaks of light. They directly charged into the group of Holy Emperor zombies and began a massacre, preventing them from approaching Taita. Blackfish was a mutated alligator god, so his battle prowess was far greater than ordinary magical beasts. He could contend with beasts of antiquity, and his strength had reached the great perfection of Holy Emperor. He was extremely terrifying. He struck out with his palms, and each time he struck out, a Holy Emperor zombie would be pulverized. Jinshan did not use the Emperor armament. The chaotic force within him surged as he used the advantage of the chaotic body to its fullest. He punched and kicked, sending all the zombies 10 meters into the air. He used the powerful formation in the sky to kill them. He used the most effortless method to deal with the zombies. Otherwise, the abnormal recovery rate of the zombies would have been enough to make Jinshan's limbs ache. Taita seemed to have become a miniature sun. His vast presence constantly rose, reaching the level of the third heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. The droplet of War God's blood had benefited him immensely, and he still had not finished absorbing it. On the other side, Jinshan and Blackfish had already dealt with the group of Holy Emperor zombies. They returned to where they had been before. This was already the fourth group of zombies they had dealt with. Suddenly, Taita's presence changed once again. It actually became several times stronger in a single moment. His battle intent became even denser. The fourth heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. He's actually reached the fourth heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. Jinshan stood there with his arms crossed. His heart was in turmoil. He had watched Taita go from the fifth heavenly layer of Saint Ruler to the fourth heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. The difference had already exceeded the increase in his chaotic body. Blackfish was stunned as well. Back when he cultivated, who knew how many years it would take for him to reach a new level of cultivation, yet Taita had actually surpassed his 1,000 years of cultivation in such a short amount of time. He felt like he was dreaming. A great dragon's roar rang out from the depths of Dragon Island, startling both Jinshan and Heiyu into looking over. They saw a huge door in the depths of Dragon Island that was unaffected by the 10-meter-high altitude restriction. Several dragon heads that were 5 to 6 meters in diameter poked out from the door. They all looked in the direction of Taita with deep focus. There was also some fear in their eyes. Class 9 dragon souls. Jinshan was surprised. These were existences on par with the Holy Emperor, and dragons were the kings of magical beasts. Their battle prowess was extremely great, much greater than the Holy Emperor of the same level. Fortunately, the Class 9 dragon souls did not charge out. They only glanced in Taita's direction before pulling back their heads in a hurry. They closed the door again in fear. Jinshan let out a sigh of relief. He understood that these dragon souls were people from the same generation as Origin. Since there was a droplet of Origin essence blood here, he must have attacked Dragon Island in the past. The dragon souls must have suffered a great loss at Origin hands, or even been slain by Origin. As a result, they were extremely sensitive to Taita's presence as a war god, as well as extremely fearful of it. Finally, Taita's presence gradually weakened. The dazzling golden light from his body also rapidly dimmed before disappearing in the end. Taita's tightly shut eyes slowly opened. He did not feel joy from the increase in strength. Instead, he was filled with sorrow and grief. 2 teardrops even flowed out from his eyes. This droplet of essence blood contained some of Aragine memories. He knew a bit about Aragine's past. As a member of the War God clan, Aragine had already become a fatherly figure in Taita's heart. In the past, Aragine was defeated on Dragon Island and killed by the Winged Tiger. This made him feel very sad and very sad. Jinshin and Blackfish walked over. The two of them carefully sized up Taita. They noticed that Taita did not change much from before. Only the luster of his skin seemed to have become even more metallic, as if he was forged from gold. Meanwhile, the battle axe mark between Taita's eyebrows had also become clearer. However, this mark was uneven, giving people a feeling that it was incomplete, as if something was missing. Taita, what's wrong? Are you okay? Jinshan asked in concern when he saw the two streams of tears on Taita's face. Taita wiped away the tears on his face and quickly calmed himself down. He said, I'm fine. I just feel like Aragine's life has been too hard. In order to create a better world for his people, he died in battle in the end. Taita's voice was filled with sorrow. Jinshan gently sighed. He had no idea how to comfort him. This matter involved many things. Not only was it the grievances between the 100 races and the magical beasts, it was also the grievances between the Winged Tiger and the War God of the 100 races. Now, these two ancient experts were his friends, so he had no idea what to do. He was most worried that the grievances from the previous generation would be resolved in this generation. Aragine's uncle waged war for his people, but he failed in the end. His final wish was to find a better place for his people to live. I will definitely fulfill his wish, Taita said with a determined look. Taita said, his eyes revealed a resolute light. This was a resolution that would not give up until he achieved his goal. Jinshin became even more confident when he saw Taita like this. The joy he felt from Taita's increase in strength completely vanished as well. He asked himself, if things really develop like this and Taita and the White Tiger become enemies, what am I supposed to do? If Taita wanted to find a better place for his people to live and fulfill Aragine's wish, he would definitely conquer the world like Aragine had done in the past. The White Tiger was an ancient divine beast, the god of the magical beasts. Although the holy emperor of the magical beasts was against it, Jinshin knew that the White Tiger would become the new beast god sooner or later. In the future, Taita might stand on opposing sides with the White Tiger or even the entire Tian Yuan continent. Sigh. I never thought that this droplet of essence blood would contain bits and pieces of Aragine's memories. Was it right or wrong for me to bring Taita here? Jinshin asked himself. At that moment, he suddenly felt some regret. Chapter 1109. Jinshin took a deep breath and stopped thinking about these headache-inducing problems. He only hoped that if things really developed like that, he would have enough power to stop it. He did not ask Taita about the future. The world was constantly changing. Who could say for sure what would happen in the future? Perhaps something that he agreed to today would suddenly change the next day. Jinshin stood on a short peak and stared in the direction of the lunisolar cave for a while. He sighed gently and said, let's go back. Taita had a simple and honest personality. He did not notice the trace of worry on Jinshin's face. He excitedly chatted and laughed with Jinshin as he made his way out of Dragon Island. Jinshin, my strength has increased greatly this time. Say, do you think I don't need to be locked up in Mercenary City by Senior Tian Jian anymore? Jinshin, how powerful are the 10 Protector clans? Do I have the ability to contend against them with my current strength? Once we get out, I need to go home first. It's been so many years since I last went back. I miss home. Taita had completely forgotten about his sorrow. The pain from Aragine's death was rapidly fading away, allowing Taita to return to his former self. Jinshin, Taita, and Blackfish left Dragon Island without any reluctance. They reappeared in the outside world. Jinshin, a cold and magnetic voice suddenly rang out. The sea goddess' illusory body suddenly appeared in the void. Her face was hazy, as if there was a layer of mist separating it from her face, making it impossible to see her clearly. Greetings to Her Majesty Poseidon. Jinshin was slightly surprised and immediately clasped his hands towards Poseidon. Greetings to Senior. Blackfish and Taita did not dare to be careless. They politely bowed towards Poseidon. Poseidon did not even glance at Blackfish. She looked at Taita for a while before looking back at Gentian. She said, "The saint's fruit of the death nest has reappeared. This fruit has the fortune of the world and can allow people to break through to the level of Holy Emperor. It takes 10,000 years to germinate, 10,000 years to bloom, 10,000 years to bear fruit, and 10,000 years to ripen. Only one fruit ripens every 40,000 years. Each time it ripens, it can only exist for 3 months. After 3 months, it will vanish from the world. The saint's fruit is about to ripen, so you cannot miss it." What? The saint's fruit that can allow people to become Holy Emperor? There's actually a fruit like that in the world? Jianshun, Taita, and Taita were shocked. Disbelief flooded their faces. If it had not come from Poseidon, they would have never believed it, even if they were beaten to death. A single fruit could actually allow someone to become a saint emperor. This was just too ridiculous. Even heavenly resources that were over 100,000 years old would not possess such great effects. The existence of the saint's fruit is a secret on the Tian-Yuan continent. Only a few ancient clans know about it, but every time it appears, it will raise the attention of various large organizations. Even Holy Emperor experts have once taken part in the struggle for it, Poseidon said. Jianshun immediately became stern. He said, "Your Majesty Poseidon, may I ask where the saint's fruit grows in the death nest? Do you have an exact location?" "It's in the very depths of the death nest. It's extremely dangerous there, so you have to be careful. Even Holy Emperor experts can die there," Poseidon said. "What? Even Holy Emperor experts can die there?" Jianshun and Blackfish were shocked. They found this to be extremely unbelievable. The death nest is a burial ground of the ancient battlefield. In the ancient times, many experts from the humans, magical beasts, and 100 races died there during the Great War between the 3 races. The ground there was once dyed red with blood, turning into mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Resentment filled the air, and there was no lack of Holy Emperor experts among them. Afterwards, the greatest human expert, Mo Tianyun, came to the place and personally cast down an extremely powerful formation to envelop the land. Afterward, he moved all the corpses of the experts of the 3 races there with his great ability, turning the place into a burial ground. In that age, there were even more Holy Emperor experts than there are Holy Emperor experts today. Countless Holy Emperors fell in battle, and there were countless Holy Emperors and Saint Rulers. With so many corpses buried together, the burial ground of the 3 races gradually changed. Many vengeful spirits and death curses appeared, turning into a dangerous place on the Tian-Yuan continent, in the end, becoming the death nest. Poseidon's voice was filled with melancholy. That period of time was just far, far too long ago. In other words, the formation of the death nest was caused by Senior Mo Tianyun alone. Jianshun was shocked for some reason. He felt admiration for the abilities of the greatest human expert, Mo Tianyun. Once again, the death nest was the most dangerous place on the Tian-Yuan continent. He had never thought that Mo Tianyun would be the one responsible for its formation. Poseidon slowly nodded. Mo Tianyun's actions are rather strange. Although the corpses of the experts of the 3 races are piled up like mountains, there's no need for him to deal with them like this. He spent quite a lot of effort to create the death nest back then, even using a droplet of his essence blood to water the ground. He definitely has his reasons for doing this. Is it to nurture the saint's fruit that can allow people to reach the level of Holy Emperor? Poseidon's voice was filled with some confusion. He was also very confused by Mo Tianyun's actions. Jianshun and Blackfish both understood something from Poseidon's words. Their bodies quivered as a sliver of surprise appeared in their eyes. Blackfish softly cried out, "Is the saint's fruit in the death nest related to the experts who died in battle in ancient times? Are they the ones who formed the saint's fruit?" "Correct. It's a special plant formed from the blood and essence of the corpses of those experts. The saint's fruit is called the saint's fruit because it can allow people to reach the level of Holy Emperor. Otherwise, it would be called the demonic fruit, said Poseidon. Jianshun was greatly shocked. He had never thought that the saint's fruit would be formed in such a manner. It was simply unbelievable. The saint's fruit contains the essence of the Holy Emperor experts from ancient times, as well as the truths of the world from the Holy Emperor level. Saint rulers are unable to digest it, so only Holy Emperor experts can ingest it. Over 100,000 years ago, a human Holy Emperor obtained the saint's fruit and gave it to his son who had just reached the level of Holy Emperor. In the end, his son reached the level of Holy Emperor within 100 years. However, most of the saint's fruits were consumed by those who had reached the great perfection of the Holy Emperor level but were unable to break through. In the end, all of them reached the level of Holy Emperor except for one person who failed. They even crossed 3 to 5 minor levels of cultivation in a row, reaching the 3rd to 5th heavenly layer of Holy Emperor level. Poseidon explained, the saint's fruit would only appear once every 40,000 years, so she had witnessed over 20 of them in her life. She understood the wondrous effects of the saint's fruit better than the ancient protector clans. There are countless vengeful spirits in Death's Nest. They're all members of the 3 clans that died in battle during ancient times. Fortunately, they've been trapped inside by Mo Tianyin's formation. Otherwise, once they escaped, apart from Mercenary City and the sea region that I protect, the entire world would be in trouble. The Death Nest is split into 3 layers. The first layer is filled with vengeful spirits at Saint Ruler level. The second layer is filled with vengeful spirits at Saint Ruler level and Holy Emperor level, so they won't pose much of a threat to you. The third layer is the true danger zone. It's filled with vengeful spirits at Holy Emperor level and Holy Emperor level. There's quite a lot of them, and if you're trapped, even Holy Emperor experts can die. There's also a powerful existence in the depths of the third layer, but it slumbers all year round and rarely wakes up. You have to be careful. The saint's fruit grows in the third layer. I've told you everything you need to know. Whether you want to go to the Death Nest or not is up to you. Poseidon's illusionary figure slowly vanished. He had come and gone without a trace, leaving no traces behind. Jinshin and Blackfish failed to notice that Poseidon had already left. They were currently thinking about what Poseidon had said at the end. An unbelievable existence was hidden in the depths of the third layer. A powerful existence? Is it the peak of Holy Emperor level? Jianshan said with a heavy voice. He felt rather cold inside. He knew just how powerful the peak Holy Emperor level was. Fairy Hao Yue was a very good example. A single formation was enough to trap a group of Holy Emperor level experts. Even Blackfish was unable to shake it. Poseidon is an Origin Realm expert who has surpassed the Holy Emperor level. If even she says it's a powerful existence, the vengeful spirit must be extraordinary. It must have been a peak Holy Emperor level expert when it was alive, Rue Jean said with a heavy voice. He was stern. The difference in strength between Holy Emperor level experts was extremely great, just like the difference between a Holy Emperor at the first heavenly layer and a Holy Emperor at great perfection. Jianshun, are you going to the Death Nest? After a moment of silence, Blackfish asked Jianshun. Jianshun lowered his head in silence. He thought of the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, Tianjian. Tianjian had helped him several times in the past and had shown him great kindness. Now that there was not much time left, it was very difficult for him to break through to great perfection and become a Holy Emperor through his own efforts in this generation, where Holy Emperor level was difficult. I'm going. I have to go. Jinshin's gaze became determined at that moment. Without Tianjian's assistance in the past, he would not be where he was right now. Senior Tianjian has been silently and selflessly helping me along the way, but I've never done a single thing for Senior Tianjian. So what if I risk my life just to help Senior Tianjian this time? Jianshun clenched his fists as he became determined. Then Old Man will go with you. Let's go see the Death Nest filled with vengeful spirits. Hee, Old Man has lived for so long, but I've never seen anything like this before, Blackfish smiled. Afterward, Jianshun entered the artifact space and found Rui Jin and Honglian. He told them everything he had learned from Poseidon without hiding anything. Chapter 11:10. You're going to fight for the saint's fruit? Honglian stared at Jianshun as she spoke with a pleasant voice. Yes, I have to fight for the saint's fruit. Senior Rui Jin, Senior Honglian, I don't know if I'll survive this trip. I'll leave the white tiger behind before I go to the death nest. I'll have to trouble seniors to look after the white tiger in the future, Jianshun said seriously. He had always believed that Rui Jin and the other two were only by his side to protect the young winged tiger. Since you want to go to the death nest, the three of us will go with you. We all have armor and weapons that contain origin energy, so even the Holy Emperor can't do anything to us. With us by your side, your chances of obtaining the saint's fruit will be much greater, said Rujin. These vengeful spirits should be items of supreme yin, while my flames are items of supreme yang. They just happen to counter these vengeful spirits. As long as the powerful existence that Poseidon spoke of doesn't appear, I don't think the vengeful spirits will be able to threaten us. Honglian expressed her opinion as well. Thank you for your assistance, seniors. Jianshun was immediately overjoyed when he saw how Rui Jin and the other two were willing to risk their lives in the death nest with him. With the assistance of 3 experts who could rival the Holy Emperor, the journey ahead would be much easier without a doubt. Jianshun left the artifact space. After he left, Honglian gently sighed. Jianshun's life is even more precious than ours. We'd rather be injured than let him die. Rui Jin also gently sighed when he heard that. Melancholy filled his face as he said, We have no relatives, no friends, and no one we know in the outside world. Even our homeland has become a cemetery for the walking dead. Our clansmen are nowhere to be found, but Jianshun is our only hope of finding our clansmen. As a result, we can't let anything happen to him before he becomes powerful, or we'll never be able to return to our clansmen. Rui Jin, do you really believe that Jianshun can lead us to our missing clansmen? Our clansmen and the ancient divine beast-winged tiger have suddenly vanished. They might no longer be in this world. Does Jianshun really have the ability to do that? Honglian stared at Rui Jin closely. Even if you don't believe in Jianshun, you should believe in the winged tiger. Since the winged tiger said that Jianshun can lead us back to our clansmen, he must have his reasons. Moreover, there's nothing else we can do aside from that. This is our only hope of finding our clansmen, said Rui Jin. Before we go to the death nest, I need to make a trip to the sea realm. Taita, it's best if you stay in Mercenary City during this time. Your body is just too eye-catching. I'm afraid that some old people who know about the legends of the ancient times will recognize you, Jianshun said to Taita. He was truly worried for Taita. Taita shook his head. Jianshun, many more powerful mysteries of war have appeared in my head. I feel like they're even more powerful than Saint-tier battle skills. And I've also obtained some powerful mysteries of war and experience from Uncle Rui Jin himself. I'm no longer afraid of the Protector clans, but I want to go to the death nest with you and travel the world with you. Taita said seriously. His eyes were filled with desire. He had desired to travel the world with Jianshun for a very long time. In the past, he was not powerful enough, so he would only be a burden to Jianshun. Now that he was powerful enough, he obviously would not give up on this opportunity. Jianshun thought about it. He knew that Taita's current battle prowess was probably no weaker than his, and considering that Taita had grown far too quickly and lacked experience and knowledge, he just agreed. He said, All right, once I return from the sea realm, I'll take you to the death nest with me. Taita was overjoyed. He smiled foolishly and said, Then I'll go home first. Jianshun, remember to call me when you go to the death nest. This place is too far away from the Tianyuan continent. I'll ask Senior Blackfish to construct a space gate for you to return, said Jianshun. There's no need. I can return by myself. Taita waved his hand and declined Blackfish's help. He then called out, Mysteries of War, Space-Shattering Avatar. A dazzling golden light surged from Taita's body. Afterward, he turned into a golden streak of light and shot forward with lightning-like speed. Several hundred meters later, the space up ahead cracked, and a black hole appeared. Taita charged into the black hole, enveloped by a dense layer of golden light, and disappeared. What? He's actually using his body to smash through space? Blackfish was shocked as he cried out uncontrollably. Even Jianshun became dumbfounded, unable to return to his senses even after quite a while. Taitao walked a different path of cultivation. He did not need to comprehend the mysteries of the world. Although he was unable to tear through space, he had another method that was similar to space gates. Space gates can only be constructed in stable space, and they can't be attacked after they're constructed or they'll collapse. However, Taita's ability doesn't seem to have any restrictions. Even when experts are fighting, he can still leave freely when space collapses. This is much more powerful than space gates. Blackfish sighed in amazement. The abilities of the warring gods are actually so terrifying. Taita is only at the fourth heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, yet he doesn't fear the protector clans. In the ancient times, the war god Ruijin had already surpassed the Holy Emperor, yet even someone as powerful as him was slain by the winged tiger. The winged tiger really is unbelievably powerful, Jianshun sighed inside. Afterward, Jianshun headed to the Sea Realm. Although the barrier of the Sea Realm prevented foreign Holy Emperor experts from entering, it was cast down by Poseidon after all. Through his relationship with Poseidon, Jianshun was obviously not restricted at all. He passed through the barrier without any obstructions. Jianshun's main objective for his trip to the Sea Realm this time was the divine water of the world. He had learned from the sword spirits that the water could heal the after-effects of Honglian's rising from flames. Back in the Cross Mountains, the Holy Emperor and the Path Lord of Carnal Desires had worked together to attack him. Honglian had been killed several times by the Holy Emperor and revived through rising from flames. The after-effect had caused her strength to fall to the fifth heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. Honglian's flames of supreme yang were the bane of vengeful spirits, so it was extremely likely that she would be the main force of the three of them. As a result, Jianshun wanted to obtain the divine water of the world to recover Honglian's strength and increase their chances of victory. After all, they were not facing the Holy Emperor this time. Instead, they were facing a group of vengeful spirits of ancient Holy Emperor. Even though they were not as powerful as they were before they were revived, there were so many of them that even Jianshun felt pressured. A figure descended from the sky in a desolate mountain range in the Sea Realm. He stood on the highest peak and looked around. With a flip of his hand, Jianshun pulled out a map of the Sea Realm from his space ring. He found his current location based on the terrain. He was currently in the Poseidon Hall, only a few 100,000 kilometers away from the territory of the Turtle Clan. Swish! Jianshun turned into a blur and left. He used the illusory flash to travel towards the Turtle Clan's territory like he was chasing after the stars and the moon. Greetings to the ruler. Jianshun returned to the Turtle Clan. As soon as he passed through the main entrance, the guards at the entrance all knelt down on one knee and called out in unison. Their voices were filled with respect from the bottom of their hearts. Although Jianshun had been gone for several years, his prestige in the Turtle Clan was still extremely great. Basically, everyone knew him. The return of the ruler of the Turtle Clan, who had left for several years, immediately caused quite a stir in the clan. Immediately, all the elders gathered in the discussion hall, regardless of whether they were busy or not. Even a few elders who were in seclusion emerged. Soon after Jianshun returned to the Turtle Clan, a white-haired old man bowed in the supreme divine hall within the territory of the Poseidon Hall. He said, "Esteemed guest elder, the ruler of the Turtle Clan has returned." Inside the hall, a woman in green was sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed. She was floating in the air 2 meters above the ground. The woman was extremely beautiful. Her long hair cascaded down like a waterfall, covering half of her face. Suddenly, the woman's tightly shut eyes snapped open. Immediately, 2 rays of light shot out from her eyes, disappearing in a flash. Her eyes were extremely bright, like twinkling stars. They vaguely possessed a strange attraction that could shake people's souls. "Understand. You are dismissed," Qing Yishuan said. Her voice was cold and emotionless. "Yes, esteemed guest elder," An old voice rang out from outside before the old man silently retreated. Before long, an azure-clothed figure left the supreme divine hall. He moved extremely quickly, disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. Jinshin wore a set of blue robes in the Turtle Clan as he casually sat on the throne. Below him, the elders of the Turtle Clan sat to the two sides in an orderly fashion. They reported the recent developments of the Turtle Clan to Jinshin one by one. Ruler, with the assistance of the three elders, Lan Jing, Xanpian, and Mochas, it has been extremely smooth for our clan to reclaim the crystal coin mines we stole in the past. We've reclaimed most of them already, and the remaining mines are all large mines of excellent quality. They produce an extremely large amount of supreme quality crystal coins, and they're all occupied by a few large clans. Those large clans are extremely powerful. Not only do they have several 15-star experts, but they even have 16-star experts. The ancestor of one of the clans is even close to the peak of the 16th star. He's an elder of the Poseidon Hall, and there are even rumors that he'll become a Hall elder before long. We've tried to negotiate with them many times during this period of time, asking them to return the mines that belong to us, but we've been rejected every single time. There have even been a few small-scale conflicts. Even the three elders, Lan Jing, Xianpian, and Mochas, have been injured. Lan Jing, Xianpian, and Mochas were the three disciplinary elders of the Heaven Spirit Hall who had hunted down Jinshin in the past. However, they had been subdued by Jinshin and were now working for him. Which clan does the expert who's about to become a Hall elder belong to? Jinshin asked. He paid close attention to the expert. Only Holy Emperor at great perfection could become a Hall elder, so the expert was about to reach great perfection. Chapter 11:11. The Tao family, Jinshin murmured as a gleam of light flashed through his eyes. The Tao family was a large clan that reigned supreme in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. They were very powerful. Suddenly, Jinshin seemed to sense something. He looked outside and became slightly surprised. A guard ran into the discussion hall as if his boat was on fire. He knelt on the ground and hurriedly said, "Ruler, a woman who claims to be a guest of the Poseidon Hall has barged in from outside. We couldn't stop her even if we wanted to." A disturbance rang out from outside as soon as the guard finished speaking. An azure-robed woman swaggered into the discussion hall under the encirclement of guards. A powerful presence permeated her surroundings, preventing the guards from approaching her. "How dare you behave so atrociously in my turtle clan?" Inside the discussion hall, several elders were furious. They immediately stood up from their chairs and were about to stop the people who had barged in from the outside. The current Turtle Clan was no longer the destitute Turtle Clan of the past. Not only did they have a ruler, but they also had Lan Jing and the other two 16-star experts, which made the Saint Ruler elders lose their courage. "It's fine. Let her in." Jinshin raised his hand to stop the furious elders. He remained calm. The furious elders immediately restrained themselves when they heard the ruler's words. They returned to their seats. Qing Yishuan had an imposing appearance. She barged into the Turtle Clan all by herself and strode into the discussion hall. She ignored the surrounding elders as she stared at Jinshin. She coldly said, "You've finally appeared after disappearing for so long." Jinshin faintly smiled. He looked at Qing Yishuan and said, "It's been a few years since we last met. Qing Yishuan is just as graceful as before. You've even surpassed the past. You've gone from the 5th heavenly layer to the 6th heavenly layer. Congratulations." Qing Yishuan said emotionlessly, "Jinshin, I haven't come to find you to catch up with you. I already know that your Turtle Clan is at odds with the Tao family. I've come this time to cooperate with your Turtle Clan. I'm willing to help you reclaim the remaining mines." The elders of the Turtle Clan changed when they heard that. They immediately became excited. If a 16-star expert joined them, it would be much easier for them to reclaim the remaining mines. Jinshin was not moved at all. He asked, "Qing Yishuan, I'm very curious. Just what does the Tao family possess that attracts you so much that you've come to find me time and time again?" You've even gone as far as to offend so many large clans to deal with the Tao family this time. Qing Yishuan hesitated before extending a finger. A transparent barrier immediately expanded, enveloping her and Jianshan. The barrier could isolate sound. Qing Yishuan clearly did not want others to hear what she was about to say. Since you're so curious, there's no harm in me telling you. The Tao family has a Saint-tier battle skill that their ancestor obtained on a lone island. If we obtain the Saint-tier battle skill, we can comprehend it together. Qing Yishuan did not hide anything and told him the truth. A Saint-tier battle skill. Jianshan immediately became interested. A Saint-tier battle skill was exactly what he needed. If the Flame Mercenaries wanted to truly become powerful, they could not do without a Saint-tier battle skill. It's said that the Tao family has a powerful ancestor who's about to reach great perfection of the Holy Emperor. Even if we work together and all the experts of the Turtle Clan, we won't be his opponent, Jinshan added. The person you're talking about is Tao Jingtian. His strength is nowhere near as exaggerated as you make it out to be. He's currently at the 8th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. With the protection of the 8 Wastelands Divine Hall, he won't be able to pose a threat to you. All you need to do is keep him busy, said Qing Yishuan. Jianshan remained silent for a while before replying, I originally did not want to become enemies with the Tao family, but the Tao family has taken over a high-quality mine of my Turtle Clan, so we'll clash with them sooner or later. Now is not the time. Qing Yishuan, if you want a share of the Tao family, then stay in the Turtle Clan. Go with Tai Do and the others to repel the weaker clans that have taken over the mine. Qing Yishuan hesitated for a while before replying, All right, I can agree to that. I hope you won't make me wait too long. Qing Yishuan temporarily stayed in the Turtle Clan and became a respected guest of the clan. The Turtle Clan had gained another powerful general. Even though it was only temporary, the entire clan rejoiced. Jianshan stayed in the Turtle Clan for a day before leaving after handing over some matters. He hurried to a place of danger in the Sea Realm. The Divine Realm was an extremely famous place in the Sea Realm. At the same time, it was a place of danger that made people tremble in fear. This was because it was rumored that a 17th-star emperor had once vanished from the Divine Realm, never to be seen again. Other than that, many 15th and 16th-star experts who had entered the Divine Realm had never returned. No one knew how the Divine Realm had been formed. It was rumored that it had an extremely long history, even older than the Sea Realm. The Divine Realm had already been formed countless years ago before the Sea Realm had even formed. Within the God Domain, there were innumerable rare divine items and heavenly and earthly treasures, and the divine water of heaven and earth, which was famous throughout the sea region, was derived from the God Domain. It was the only place where the divine water of heaven and earth was produced. Therefore, even though the God Domain was extremely dangerous and was known as a place with 9 deaths, it still couldn't stop the numerous adventurers in the sea region. Even if they knew that only death awaited them if they entered, there were still many people who wanted to try their luck. 100 miles away from God's Domain, there was a medium-sized city. This city was called God's City, and due to the existence of God's Domain, it specialized in providing supplies to adventurers that entered God's Domain. At the same time, it was also the gathering place for adventurers that entered God's Domain. There were all sorts of people in Divine City. Not only were there people of the sea race in human form, but there were also humans from the Tian Yuan continent and a magical beast from the Beast God continent as well. The people of the 3 races were common, so they rarely treated each other with animosity. There were even people from the 3 races who had formed alliances and formed adventurers groups. Jianshan entered Divine City in tight robes. He seemed even more experienced than before. He seemed just like an ordinary adventurer as he mingled with the sea of people in the city. Supreme antidote pills, essential items for entering the Divine Realm. They can neutralize various poisons. 10 high-grade crystal coins for 1. There aren't a lot of them, so come and buy them if you need them. Quaking Thunders for sale. They range from Class 12 to Class 14. They can unleash an attack on the level of a Poseidon warrior from Class 12 to 14. They're essential items for protecting your life. There aren't a lot of them, Various cries rang out as he made his way through the streets. There were many peddlers on both sides of the street selling items. There were all sorts of items. Jianshan arrived before a stall that sold quaking thunders. He saw a few fist-sized black balls on the ground. They pulsed with powerful water-attributed energy. Jianshan picked up one of the quaking thunders and studied it. He discovered its secret with a single glance. It was a special material that could store some energy, allowing it to unleash a powerful attack. It was similar to the 3 stones that the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union had given him in the past. However, the difference between the two was rather great. The latter could store the energy of the Holy Emperor at great perfection, while the quaking thunders could only store energy below the 3rd heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Warrior, buy a few quaking thunders. They are essential items for both fighting and protecting your life. The stall owner began to introduce the wonders and great uses of the quaking thunders. May I ask where the materials for the quaking thunders come from? Jianshan asked as he studied the quaking thunders. It must be your first time in Divine City, right? You don't even know this. The materials come from the Divine Realm. They're obtained from hunting a powerful vicious beast that lives in the Divine Realm, said the stall owner. Jianshan then asked about the price of the quaking thunders, but it was ridiculously high. The quaking thunders in his hands that could unleash an attack from a 3rd heavenly layer Saint Ruler were actually sold for 200,000 supreme grade crystal coins. Jianshan continued to stroll through the streets. There were many people who had set up stalls there, selling various items. He did not know the names or uses of many of them, but they were extremely special. He hoped that he could come across materials that could be used to forge the azulate swords. But in the end, Jianshan was disappointed. He basically went through every single place, but he did not find anything. However, there were quite a few places that sold quaking thunders. Jianshan arrived at the center of the city and entered a rather large tavern. He asked about the Divine Realm from a few adventurers who frequented the place. The Turtle Clan did not have many records regarding the Divine Realm. They had lost many ancient records after experiencing a few disasters in the past, so they had pitifully little information regarding the danger zones of the Sea Realm. It said that the Blue Sky adventurers entered the depths of the Divine Realm not long ago and managed to retreat successfully. They only lost a few 12-star warriors. The captain of the Blue Sky adventurers is a 13-star expert. He's actually able to lead the members of the group into the depths of the Divine Realm, where even 15-star experts would die and return safely. It really is a miracle. I also heard that the Blue Sky adventurers saw the divine water of the world in the depths of the Divine Realm from afar, but they were unable to advance any further. They could only retreat helplessly in the end. What a pity. The divine water of the world is extremely rare in the Divine Realm. Even 16th-star experts might not necessarily be able to see it in the depths of the Divine Realm. I really must say that the Blue Sky Adventurers are just too lucky. Right now, the Blue Sky Adventurers are very popular in Divine City. I've heard that many powerful adventurer teams in Divine City want to rope them in and get them to tell us where the divine water of heaven and earth is. I heard that the Blue Sky Adventurers have already recruited 2 13th-star experts. They plan on venturing into the depths of the Divine Realm again to obtain the divine water of the world. The adventurers in the tavern all discussed the Blue Sky Adventurers. All of their topics were related to the Blue Sky Adventurers. At this moment, a group of people in tight robes entered the tavern. With their entrance, the discussions in the tavern immediately died down. Look, they're the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers. The people of the Blue Sky Adventurers have actually appeared here. Are they really going to venture into the depths of the Divine Realm again? Chapter 11:12. Jianshan clearly heard their discussion from nearby. He raised his head and observed the people who had entered the tavern. There were a total of 10 people, and they all wore tight robes. They seemed extremely capable. The person at the very front was a large man with thick eyebrows and large eyes. He had a full beard while 2 white-haired old men followed closely behind him. Although they were old, their eyes shone brightly. The 3 of them were Saint Rulers. They were 13th-star warriors in the Sea Realm, while the 7 people behind them were 12-star experts. They were all sixth cycle heaven Saint Masters. The person at the very front is the captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers. They only have 8 people, yet they've actually gained 2 unfathomable old men. Are the rumors true? Have the Blue Sky Adventurers really recruited 2 13th-star experts and are preparing to enter the depths of the divine realm again? Someone in the tavern asked softly. The Blue Sky Adventurers are actually all humans. Only the 2 old men are from the sea race and the magical beasts, Jianshin secretly murmured inside. He saw through the composition of the Blue Sky Adventurers with a single glance. Another group of people walked in from the outside. They were all wearing blue armor and had an extraordinary aura. On the chest of the blue armor, there was an emblem shining with purple light. On the emblem, there were 2 words written in the language of the sea race, Blue Mountain. It's actually the people of the Lanshan clan. The Lanshan clan is one of the 3 great clans in Divine City. Have they come because of the divine water of the world? The person at the front is the first young master of the Lanshan clan, Lan Mo. He's been cleansed by heavenly resources since he was young, so his talent for cultivation is extremely outstanding. He's become a 13th-star expert in just over 300 years of age. The group of people from the Blue Mountain clan directly arrived before the Blue Sky Adventurers. The first young master, Blue Devil, stared at the captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers in an overbearing manner and said, "Zhou Chuyan, our Blue Mountain clan will be venturing into the depths of the divine domain this time. Your Blue Sky Adventurers should form an alliance with us. We'll enter the divine domain together, and your Blue Sky Adventurers will take 40% of the spoils while our Blue Mountain clan will take 60%. The first young master of the Blue Mountain clan has gone too far. He took the initiative to pull the Blue Sky Adventurers into the depths of the divine realm. He clearly wants them to lead the way to the divine water of the world, but he only gave the Blue Sky Adventurers 40%. That's unreasonable. There's nothing we can do about it. The Lanshan clan is just too powerful. They control 1/3 of the territory in Divine City, and the patriarch of the Lanshan clan is a 14th-star expert. There's barely anyone who dares to offend them in Divine City. Legend has it that the Blue Sky clan has an old ancestor who has lived for over 4,000 years. He's a 15th-star expert and has already traveled for several decades. I wonder if that's true. A few people in the tavern discussed softly. They were displeased with the actions of the first young master of the Lanshan clan, as well as amazed by the power of the Lanshan clan. The captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers, Zhou Chuyan, became furious, but he hid it very quickly. He stood up and clasped his hands at the first young master of the Lanshan clan, Lan Mo. He said, "It's our fortune that young Master Lan Mo thinks highly of our Blue Sky Adventurers. However, our Blue Sky Adventurers have always been independent, so I can only decline young Master Lan Mo's good intentions. Zhou Chuyan, I've never sent an invitation to a mere adventurers group in my life. Your Blue Sky Adventurers is the first. I never thought you'd actually reject my good intentions. Are you looking down on me?" Lan Mo's voice became cold. Zhou Chuyan smiled. "You've misunderstood, young Master Lan Mo. We're not looking down on young Master Lan Mo. We're just used to being independent." An armored guard behind Lan Mo walked forward and sternly said to Zhou Chuyan, "It's your fortune that young Master Lan Mo has taken the initiative to invite you. Don't be so ungrateful. You must join the alliance this time, or don't even think about leaving this tavern today." The atmosphere in the tavern immediately became tense with the guard's warning. Everyone stopped what they were doing and stared at young Master Lan Mo and the Blue Sky Adventurers. The members of the Blue Sky Adventurers all paled. Only the 2 old men remained composed, as if nothing had happened. Zhou Qian's face sank as well. He would seem weak if he continued to hold back now that he had spoken like that. He said coldly, "Young Master Lan Mo, my Blue Sky Adventurers may not be as powerful as your Lanshan clan, but we're not afraid of trouble. If young Master Lan Mo wants to use force, we're more than welcome to have a spar here and see just who won't be able to leave this tavern." Young Master Lan Mo snorted coldly. He glanced past the 2 old men with Zhou Chuyan and said, "Zhou Chuyan, do you really think you can stand up to our Lanshan clan just because you've invited two 13-star experts? You're overestimating yourself. At the very least, your Lanshan clan won't be able to do anything to us before your ancestor returns. However, your ancestor seems to have left several decades ago. Zhou Qiyun's attitude became tough as well. He showed no fear at all. Young Master Lan Mo's face sank as killing intent flickered through his eyes. As the first young master of one of the three great clans in Divine City, his status was extremely great. He had never been offended by a tiny adventurer group before. Even though the adventurer group had a 13-star expert, he still did not care. Young Master Lan Mo glanced past Zhou Qiyun and the two old men coldly. Just when he was about to say something, a mocking voice rang out from outside. I never thought that the renowned young Master Lan Mo would actually bully an adventurer group. How unbelievable. However, the Blue Sky adventurers are not like those small adventurers. They're not people that you can bully. A white-robed young man who seemed to be in his 20s walked in from outside. He looked at young Master Lan Mo with a mocking gaze. Behind the young man were a few middle-aged men in tight robes. They all radiated with valiant presences. I was wondering who it was. So it's the first young master of the Karun clan? Snorted young Master Lan Mo snorted coldly. The Karun clan possessed the same status as their Lanshan clan. They were also one of the three great clans. Kuda ignored Lan Mo and arrived beside Zhou Qiyun. He clasped his hands. Captain Zhou Qiyun, our Karun clan has already formed an alliance with the Shui clan. We plan on venturing into the depths of the divine realm again. Our two clans sincerely invite Captain Zhou Qiyun to join us. I knew your Karun clan had come here with the same intentions as me. Whatever, I'll sit here and watch how you rope in the Blue Sky Adventures. However, I've heard that a large clan from Diork City has already hurried to the Divine City for the divine water of the world. Young Master Lan Mo sneered before glancing around the tavern. He discovered that it was already full. There was not a single empty seat. Young Master, why don't you let me find you a seat? A guard behind Lan Mo stepped forward and glanced around sharply. In the end, his gaze landed on Jianshan, who had taken a table all to himself. He strode over and looked down at Jianshan. Kid, our young Master Lan Mo has taken this table for himself. Leave immediately. Don't waste our young master's time. The people in the tavern all sat in groups of 3 to 5. They were all burly and radiated with powerful presences. Only Jianshan seemed extremely ordinary, and he seemed rather frail in the eyes of the guard. As a result, he was obviously the easiest person to bully. Young Master Lan Mo sure is haughty to actually take my seat. It's been a long time since I've seen someone like you. You must be tired of living, Jianshan said without even raising his head. He directly ignored Lan Mo's group. Jianshan's words immediately stunned everyone in the tavern. Who was young Master Lan Mo? He was the first young master of the Lanshan clan, one of the 3 great clans of the Divine City. He possessed a great status and was a 13-star expert, yet someone had actually said that he was tired of living. This was unbelievable. Almost at the same time, everyone in the tavern looked at Jianshan. However, no matter how they studied him, they discovered that Jianshan was an extremely ordinary person. He did not seem like a powerful expert at all. Who is this person? How dare he speak to young Master Lan Mo like that? Don't tell me he's a peak expert who hides his strength. This person is dead for sure. I'm sure he won't be able to walk out of this tavern after talking to young Master Lan Mo. That was what many people thought. Young Master Lan Mo's face sank. The guard immediately called out, "How dare you? How dare you speak to young Master Lan Mo like that? I think you're the one who's tired of living." Blue light flickered in the guard's hand, and a trident appeared. He stabbed it at Jianshan mercilessly. Jianshan sat there calmly. He did not even raise his head. With a gentle wave of his right hand, the trident in his hand immediately turned into a silver streak of light, shooting into the guard's forehead with lightning-like speed. Spurt. Blood spurted from the guard's forehead. The trident had completely pierced his head, and he fell to the ground without even making a sound. The people in the tavern immediately fell into an uproar. At that moment, the sound of countless people inhaling could be clearly heard. Many people had never thought that the young man sitting there would actually be a hidden expert. He even dared to kill young Master Lanmo's guards. How did that guard die? I actually didn't see it. What did he use to kill that guard? Many people in the tavern wondered inside. They had not seen when Jinshin had acted or what he had used to kill the guard. Chapter 11:13. So what if I killed them? They deserve to die for touching me. Jinshan said extremely indifferently. You dash. Lan Mo pointed at Jinshin. He was speechless from anger. In all these years, no one had ever dared to act so arrogantly before him. Even the young masters of the other two clans did not show him any mercy. How dare you? The guard behind Lan Mo bellowed out, and another 6 people walked out at the same time. They all drew their weapons and swung them at Jinshin. The 6 of them were all peak Heaven Saint Masters. They were much more powerful than the guard from before. Jinshan flicked his finger, and 6 strands of sword chi shot out. Before the 6 of them could even approach Jinshin's table, their foreheads exploded and they collapsed in pools of blood. In the blink of an eye, the 7 guards had all died to Jinshin's hands. This scene deeply shocked everyone in the tavern. Jinshin was not worried about the Celestial's decay. The Celestial's decay was used to punish people who had committed atrocities. It referred to those who had killed hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. It was used to prevent saint rulers and above from recklessly fighting in densely populated cities and causing great destruction. There was no need for him to worry about killing a few people. Lan Mo was stunned by Jinshin's viciousness. Even the people from the Kurung clan and the Blue Sky mercenaries were the same. This was the first time someone had dared to kill Lan Mo's guards right in front of him in such an unbridled manner in the Divine City. Who is this person? Not only does he not take young Master Lan Mo seriously, but he's also killed several peak 12-star guards with just a flick of his finger. His strength must be extremely terrifying. He's at the 13-star or even the 14-star at the very least. Could have guessed inside as he became slightly fearful. Ha! What courage you have, warrior. I, Zhou Chuyun, admire you. May I ask for your name? Zhou Chuyun clasped his hands at Jinshin from across the table. He was extremely bold. Yang Yuqian, Jinshin said. Esteemed warrior Yang Yuqian, since you've appeared in this divine city, you must be going around the divine realm. Why don't we travel together? Our Blue Sky mercenaries may not be powerful, but we still have 3 13-star experts. If we come across any danger, our chances of survival will be greater. Zhou Chuyun took the initiative to rope in Jinshin. He would be a great help. Young Master Lan Mo's face darkened. Zhou Chuyun had actually tried to rope in the murderer of the Lanshan clan's guards without any hesitation. He was basically openly opposing the Lanshan clan. Jinshan hesitated for a moment, but did not immediately agree. Instead, he asked, Zhou Chuyun, how much do you know about the Divine Realm? This Zhou has stayed here for more than 200 years and entered the God Domain countless times. I dare not say that I know the God Domain like the back of my hand, but in this God City, there are few who can compare to me. Zhou Chuyun was rather conceited. He was indeed an experienced old man in the God Domain. All right, I'll enter the God Domain with you, said Jinshin. He knew very little about the Divine Realm, so he just happened to need an experienced person to lead the way. Although he was very confident in his own strength, he needed to be cautious in the Divine Realm, where even saint emperors had died before. At the same time, the divine water of the world did not appear in a fixed location, so it was very difficult to find. Many 16th-star experts had returned empty-handed. Zhou Chuyun, let's wait and see. My Lanshan clan will never let this matter slide. Lan Mo left after saying that. He was uncertain about Jinshin's strength, so he dared not charge up to fight Jinshin. The people of the Kurung clan left as well. The Blue Sky adventurers now possessed 4 13th-star experts, and it was extremely likely that one of them was at the 14th star. Their strength was so great that the Kurung clan could not help but take this matter seriously. They needed a plan for the long term. Captain Zhou Chuyun, there's another person in the group now. May I ask how we'll split the spoils? The human old man who had been recruited by Zhou Chuyun asked. He did not take Jinshin seriously at all. Zhou Chuyun chuckled. Of course, it's still the same old rules. Whoever puts in the most effort and contributes the most will receive the largest share. However, the two of you should understand that the depths of the divine realm are filled with danger. Even 15-star and 16-star experts can die there. As a result, the stronger we are, the better. That way, our chances of survival will be much greater. The magical beast expert who had been recruited glanced at Jianxun from the corner of his eye and said, "Saint rulers can kill heaven's saint masters as easily as crushing tofu. It's nothing." However, the depths of the God domain are not as peaceful as the outside world. It's extremely dangerous there. If one person makes a mistake, it can affect everyone else. Kid, you better behave yourself once you enter the depths of the God domain. Don't be too full of yourself. Jinshin's eyes turned cold when he heard the magical beast expert's words. He coldly said, "I may not be a person who provokes others, but if someone provokes me, I don't mind killing them." The magical beast expert's face stiffened when he heard that. He knew that Jinshin's words were directed at him. What he had said before was indeed filled with provocation and disdain. At this moment, a powerful ripple of energy appeared. A huge, pitch-black octopus descended from the sky. Its 100-meter-long body directly smashed into the street, causing the entire street to shake violently. Every single one of its tentacles was several hundred meters long. They danced wildly in the air like a demon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It's the master of the bottomless abyss, Juba. Doesn't he never appear in Divine City? Why has he suddenly come here this time? Juba has reached the peak of the 14th star long ago. He's only a step away from the 15th star. It's said that he's been in seclusion for 100 years. Now that he's suddenly appeared, has he already broken through and become a 15th star expert? It's said that the Juba clan needs to reach the 15th star before they can assume human form due to their innate limitations. He's still in his original form, so it looks like he hasn't become a 15th star expert yet. Has Juba come for the divine water of the world as well? He wants to find the divine water that has appeared in the depths of the divine realm and use it to break through to the 15th star. The arrival of the huge octopus caused an uproar in the entire street. Although he was only at the peak of the 14th star, he was one of the few experts in the region. He was very famous, and even the patriarchs of the 3 great clans in Divine City had to show him some respect. Who is the captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers? Zhou Chuyan stepped forward for this king. A heavy voice rang out. It was deafening, echoing through the entire city. Juba seemed to be searching for someone in the entire city, but his huge body blocked the tavern where Zhou Chuyun was. The expressions of everyone from the Blue Sky Adventurers changed. Juba was an expert who reigned supreme in the region. His battle prowess was extremely great, and it was difficult for him to find an opponent of the same level. Only 15th star experts could suppress him. Zhou Chuyun braced himself and stood up. He said, "I am Zhou Chuyun. May I ask why Juba is looking for me? Take this king to the depths of the divine realm and search for the divine water of the world you discovered." Juba's voice rang out. Juba's voice rang out. Afterwards, the roof of the tavern shattered and a huge, thick, pitch-black hand descended from the sky, quickly sweeping towards Zhou Chuyun. "Juba, what is the meaning of this?" Zhou Chuyun called out. Saint force surged out of his body as he dodged in a flash. However, the huge, thick hand was extremely nimble. It chased after Zhou Chuyun, wrapping around his waist tightly in the end. The great binding force almost snapped Zhou Chuyun's waist in half. Zhou Chuyun called out. He decisively drew his saint weapon and swung it at the tentacle as hard as he could. However, it failed to harm the tentacle at all. "Father!" The only woman in the Blue Sky Adventurers cried out. She was in a panic. At the same time, the 2 experts that Zhou Chuyun had recruited struck out as well. A 5-meter-long dragon spear appeared in the human expert's hand as he stabbed it at the tentacle with lightning speed. The magical beast expert's hands immediately turned into huge, vicious claws. An icy cold light flickered on the sharp claws as he viciously swiped at the tentacle. The 2 of them were not weak. They were both 4th heavenly layer saint rulers. Their combined attack was their full strength, so it was obviously not to be underestimated. However, when their dragon spears and claws struck the tentacles, they failed to damage the tentacles at all. Juba's body was shockingly tough. "Oomph, you want to harm me with 2 puny shrimps? You overestimate yourselves." Juba's voice was filled with disdain. He was not even interested in attacking them. The tentacle wrapped around Zhou Chuyun and was about to break through the roof. At this moment, Jianshun suddenly raised his right hand. A thick strand of azulate sword chi shot out, turning into a flash of light. It struck the tentacle with lightning-like speed. Spurt. Blood immediately filled the tavern. The tentacle that even 4th Heavenly Layer Saint Rulers could not harm was easily chopped in half by the sword chi. Zhou Chuyun immediately broke free from the tentacle and stared at Jianshun in disbelief. "Arg!" Juba cried out in pain. Afterwards, a powerful killing intent rose up and enveloped the entire city. He roared furiously, "How dare you harm me? I'll make sure you die a horrible death." Juba had a total of 18 tentacles. The remaining 17 immediately fell from the sky, viciously smashing toward the tavern. Every single one of the tentacles was extremely large. If they all fell at the same time, everyone in the tavern would die, except for a few saint rulers. Jianshun's gaze was cold. Although he was in the tavern, he seemed to know the situation outside like the back of his hand. He sent 17 strands of azulate sword chi into the sky, severing all 17 tentacles. Blood poured down like rain, dyeing the entire street red. Juba was in excruciating pain after all 18 tentacles had been severed. He was like a person who had lost both his arms and legs. His fate was miserable. Deep fear filled Juba's heart. He knew that he had provoked someone he could not afford to provoke. His tentacles had never been severed even in battles of life and death against experts of the same level. Yet now, they had all been severed without any effort at all. He became extremely terrified. Chapter 11:14. The entire street fell into a deathly silence. Everyone stared at the 18 tentacles left behind by Juba in a daze as their hearts churned. Juba was a renowned peak expert in the region of Divine City. He was known to be invincible among the same level of cultivation and had never been defeated. Only the ancestors of the 3 great clans who had not shown themselves for over a century or even several centuries could suppress him. Yet now, Juba's 18 tentacles had been easily severed by someone in the city. He could not even fight back. Everyone felt disbelief at the unbelievable sight. Are my eyes deceiving me? Juba has actually been beaten up by someone, leaving behind his 18 tentacles to flee. He doesn't even dare to say anything. What kind of expert is this? Even the renowned Juba Wang is no match for him. This person's strength is far too terrifying. The person who severed Juba's 18 tentacles must be a 15-star expert. Only 15-star experts possess such strength in the entire world. A respected 15-star expert has come to our city. Only after quite a while did the people on the street return to their senses. They immediately burst into an uproar. Many people's eyes were filled with excitement. 15-star experts were rare in the sea realm because they spent most of their time in seclusion and rarely ventured out. The tavern remained deathly silent. Everyone stared at the well-dressed Jianshun, who sat at a table by himself in fear. Their gazes were filled with undisguised fear and respect. The 2 recruited saint rulers from the Blue Sky Adventurers became rather pale. When Jianshun had first joined the Blue Sky Adventurers, the 2 of them had spoken against Jianshun. Now that they had witnessed Jianshun's supreme strength, they immediately became frightened. In particular, the magical beast who had provoked Jianshun was filled with regret. If he had known earlier that Jianshun was so powerful, he would not have dared to say something like that, even if he was 100 times bolder. The magical beast hesitated before forcing himself to make his way to Jianshun's side uneasily. He said meekly, "Esteemed Senior Yang Yuqian, I, Tugu, take back what I just said and apologize to you. I hope you can be magnanimous and forgive me for my disrespect." The magical beast's face was filled with sincerity. He was apologetic from the bottom of his heart. He deeply understood the consequences of offending a 15-star expert. Jinshin glanced at Tugu and said, "You sure are smart. I just wanted to settle our debts, and you've come to apologize. Whatever, since you're smart, slap yourself and leave immediately. I'll let bygones be bygones then." "Thank you, Senior Yang Yutian, for your mercy." As if he had been pardoned, Tugu politely bowed to Jinshan before decisively slapping himself a few times and leaving with his tail between his legs. Zhou Chuyan walked over and bitterly smiled. "I never thought that Sir Yang Yutian would actually be a 15-star expert. I was blind before, failing to tell that Sir Yang Yutian was actually an otherworldly expert. Please forgive me, Sir Yang Yutian." "Oi, Warrior Yang Yutian, are you really an otherworldly 15-star expert? Can you tell me how you cultivate? How many years have you cultivated? How did you reach such a height? How enviable." The 15-star is an expert of the Holy Emperor. The only woman from the Blue Sky Adventurers walked over. She stared at Jinshan with sparkling eyes as admiration filled her face. She was a woman who seemed to be in her 20s. She was lively and cute, with large, watery eyes. Although she was not devastatingly beautiful, she was still a rare beauty. "Liner, don't be rude." Zhou Chuyan glared at the woman before smiling at Jinshin. "Sir Yang Yutian, this is Chuyun's daughter, Zhou Lin. My daughter doesn't know any better, so please forgive her, Sir Yang Yutian." "It's fine. Captain Zhou Chuyun, let's go to the Divine Realm as soon as possible," said Jinshin. Afterward, Zhou Chuyan left with the other members of the Blue Sky Adventurers and Jinshin. They directly hurried to the Divine Realm, but one of them was missing. It was the Beast Saint Ruler. After Jinshin's group left, the news of a 15-star expert severing 18 of Juba's tentacles spread through the entire city, causing a great uproar. The three great clans of the city obviously received the news as well. In the Lanshan clan, Lanmo's face was rather pale. He murmured, "I never thought he would actually be a 15-star expert. Fortunately, I didn't do anything to him in the tavern, or I probably wouldn't have been able to return to the clan safely. Only my ancestor, who I haven't heard from in several decades, can contend against an expert like that." However, a sliver of coldness appeared in Lan Mo's eyes soon after. He coldly said, "The large clans of Duork City have received the news of the divine water of the world as well. They've already sent experts over. You're not the only 15-star expert." The Divine Realm was a dangerous region filled with danger. Not only were there dangers from beasts, but there were also the forces of nature. They possessed unfathomable power, where even saint rulers needed to avoid them. Jinshin and the other members of the Blue Sky Adventurers had already entered the Divine Realm. They were currently walking through a barren land. A mysterious power permeated the area, suppressing the senses of Jinshin's soul. He could only expand his senses to less than 1,000 meters away, which was even less than what he could see with his naked eye. Even flying was restricted. Once he was 3 meters above the ground, he would be suppressed by a mysterious and powerful force. Even Jinshin struggled to contend against it. They chatted as they walked. Jinshin also learned the name of the human saint ruler that Zhou Chuyun had recruited. He was called Li Jun. Along the way, they came across a few ignorant beasts. They were not very powerful, so they were all dealt with by Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters. Suddenly, a strange beastly roar was heard. 3 ferocious beasts that looked like crabs appeared in everyone's line of sight. Each of them was 10 meters long and had a long tail behind them. There was also a 5-meter-long spike on the crab's shell. They were running horizontally towards them. "It's 12-star beasts. It's time for us to work again." Zhou Lin excitedly cheered. She charged toward the 3 beasts with the other 7 Heaven Saint Masters, and they began fighting very soon. Zhou Chuyun gently sighed as he watched the 8 people battle the 3 vicious beasts. He said, "Originally, I was a disciple of a medium-sized sect beyond the seas. Aside from Zhou Lin, the other 7 were all elite disciples of our sect. Afterwards, an enemy of our sect master came and wiped out the entire sect. Not a single one of the 5,000 people in the sect survived, including the sect master and the great elders. They were all killed by the enemy. During that time, I just happened to take these disciples to another island to train, which was why we managed to avoid the disaster. We then came to the sea realm, but Zhou Lin's mother had already died in the sect. Zhou Qiyun's eyes were filled with pain. He could not bear to think about the past. It was an extremely painful memory to him. Every time he thought about it, his heart would ache. I've stayed in the sea realm with these disciples for over 300 years. We've always been training in the divine realm, exchanging a few items from the divine realm for crystal coins, and then diligently cultivating. During these 300 years, I've broken through to Saint Ruler from the original Heaven Saint Master level, while they've all broken through to the 6th cycle of Heaven Saint Master level. They've all been stuck at the bottleneck of Saint Ruler. My greatest wish is to find my enemy and avenge my wife once my strength reaches a certain level. Although I know that the chances are very slim, I will always work towards this goal. Zhou Qiyun gazed into the distance as determination filled his eyes. Jianshan said nothing. He listened to Zhou Qiyun's story quietly as a guest. He was not affected at all. There were countless stories like Zhou Qiyun's on the Tianyuan continent. How could one not be stabbed if they constantly roamed the Jianghu? At this moment, Zhou Lin and the others had already slain the 3 vicious beasts. They returned to Zhou Qiyun's side in disappointment and said, "It's a pity that we didn't find any thunderstones." Thunderstones were materials for creating quaking thunders. They would appear in the bodies of a few vicious beasts in the divine realm, but not all of them would. Once they obtained a thunderstone, they would become quaking thunders as long as they were filled with energy. The group continued to move forward. However, before long, the sky was covered by dark clouds. Loud and muffled sounds of thunder could be heard. Strange. Why is there thunder here? Is it going to rain? Jianshan asked curiously as he stared at the sky. His face was filled with surprise. He was currently at the bottom of the sea. The protective barrier of the sea realm separated him from the water above, so he could not see the sun at all. Logically speaking, it was impossible for there to be thunder and rain. Zhou Qiyun and the others immediately became stern when they saw the weather. They said with a heavy voice, "Oh no, the weather of the divine realm has changed again. We need to find a cave quickly, or even Saint Rulers will struggle to survive." "It's that serious?" Jianshan became even more surprised. The thunder of the divine realm is not the thunder of the outside world, and the rain is not the rain of the outside world either. The lightning here is extremely dense, so it's very difficult to avoid it on the plains. Once you're struck by lightning, it'll directly injure your soul. Heaven Saint Masters are dead for sure, and even Saint Rulers can't last more than a few times. If you're struck thousands of times, even the Holy Emperor might die. However, the rain here is extremely corrosive. Once it touches you, it'll directly corrode your body. It ignores all defenses formed from energy. No matter how tough something is, it won't be able to stop the corrosion of the rain, explained Zhou Qiyun. Zhou Qiyun explained as he quickly ran. He wanted to pass through the plains and reach the hills before the rain arrived. Jianshan glanced at the dark sky and said, "It's probably too late. It's going to rain soon." Chapter 11:15. God damn it, we're so unlucky this time. A change like this rarely happens in the outer regions of the divine realm. I never thought we'd run into it as soon as we came in. We're in big trouble now. Zhou Qiyun's face became extremely ugly, while the 8 Heaven Saint Masters behind him paled as well. "Father, we've slowed you down. Why don't you leave first? Don't worry about us," begged Zhou Qiyun. Her eyes were filled with despair. They were still far too far away from the hills. With their current speed, it would be impossible for them to reach the hills before it rained. "No, I won't abandon you," said Zhou Qiyun firmly. Zhou Qiyun said firmly. However, the light in Li Jun's eyes flickered as he hesitated. He wanted to hurry over by himself, but when he glanced at Jianshan, he hesitated once again. "Sir Yang Yutian, Sir Li Jun, the situation is extremely dangerous right now. It'll be very difficult for me to reach the end with you. You two go first. Don't worry about us." Zhou Qiyun said to Jianshan and Li Jun before looking at Zhou Lin. He said with a deep voice, "Lin hold hands with me. I'll take you with me." I hope we can find a safe place before the storm arrives. Li Jun said nothing. He constantly glanced at Jinshin. Being able to follow beside a 15-star expert meant that the journey ahead would definitely be much safer than traveling alone. Zhou Chuyun, you definitely won't be able to reach a safe place before the storm arrives with your strength. Let me take you, said Jinshin. With a casual wave of his hand, an invisible force enveloped the 8 Heaven Saint Masters. Afterward, he got Zhou Chuyun and Li Jun hold his hand. He used the illusory flash to leave behind a series of blurs as he shot off into the distance. He moved extremely quickly. Jinshin did not want to use a saint artifact here. Although the divine realm was dangerous, it would not be able to threaten him as long as he was careful. As a result, he wanted to use his own strength to travel through this place. The illusory flash was an extremely profound movement skill. It was a cultivation method that Jinshin frequently used. After using it and comprehending it from time to time, Jinshin had become even more proficient with it. He could use it several times faster than before. Boom! A deafening boom constantly rang out as lightning constantly fell from the sky. Blinding bolts of lightning would fall in large swathes, enveloping a radius of 1,000 meters. It was extremely shocking. Jinshin flew across the plains with Zhou Chuyun and the others, carefully guarding against the descending bolts of lightning. None of them knew where the elusive bolts of lightning would strike next. They had almost been enveloped by the bolts of lightning many times, basically brushing past them. This caused the Heaven Saint Masters of the Blue Sky Adventurers to pale in fright. Large drops of rain fell from the sky. This kind of rain wasn't ordinary rain. It could penetrate all kinds of energy shields and corrode all kinds of objects. Once it fell on a person's body, it could melt a big hole in that person's body. At this moment, everyone other than Jinshin pulled out a huge, foot-thick shield from their space rings and raised it above their heads to block the rain. The powerful shields actually began to shrink at a visible rate. Even though they were forged from refined steel, they were actually being melted by the rain. They would not be able to block it for much longer. The rain here will get heavier and heavier. Once it becomes a storm, the shields in our hands will melt in a single moment, said Zhou Chuyun with a deep voice. Their shields could only block the rain for a short period of time. They could not make it through the rain safely. Jinshin said nothing. He pushed the illusory flash to its limits as he hurried forward. Finally, they passed through the plains, and a range of hills appeared before them. The rain became heavier and heavier, accompanied by endless thunder. It caused the sky to become even darker, while the shields above Zhou Chuyun's head melted even faster. Everyone had already switched to 3 different shields. Roar! Roar! 2 huge beasts roared out. They radiated with valiant presences as they charged toward Jinshin in the rain. Originally, the special rain was unable to harm them. However, Jinshin's speed was not something these mindless beasts could compare to. They were overtaken very soon. A miserable cry rang out. The shield above Zhou Jun's head had completely melted. Some of the rain landed on his body, instantly eating away his clothes. Several finger-sized holes could be clearly seen on his body. Even with his body as a saint ruler, he was unable to stop the rain at all. Painful cries and grunts constantly rang out. The people around him were all struck by the rain, and their bodies immediately began to melt. Even Jinshin's chest was struck by some of the rain. A few small holes immediately appeared on his clothes. Although it did not harm his chaotic body, Jinshin felt a piercing pain. What kind of rain is this? It's actually so terrifying. Jinshin was secretly surprised. Suddenly, Jinshin's face changed. He raised his head and saw a large swath of rain the size of soybeans. It blotted out the entire sky as it descended, enveloping the 9 heavens. It was a true downpour like a waterfall. It's over. Rain like this is even more corrosive. It can instantly melt a shield. It's unstoppable. Despair filled Zhou Lin's eyes. Jinshin was stern as he stared ahead. He had already seen a cave near the hill. The terrifying downpour rapidly fell from the sky. Once they were drenched, they would lose a layer of skin even if they managed to survive. Jianshun was getting closer and closer to the cave. They were in a race against time. Whoosh! Finally, with the whistling of a gust of wind, Jianshun entered the cave with a group of people in the nick of time. Basically, the moment they disappeared into the cave, the terrifying rain began to pour down. The raindrops fell onto the ground, erupting with great booms. So close! Zhou Lin patted her chest as she stared out of the cave with lingering fear. She knew just how terrifying the rain was. What she had just experienced was like walking through the gates of hell. In the next moment, Zhou Lin's face paled. Her face was filled with pain. She was already injured in several places, all caused by the splashing rain. The others were injured to varying degrees as well. A weak light flickered in the depths of the cave. With the sound of footsteps, 3 middle-aged men walked out. Their gazes towards Jianshun's group were very unfriendly. Zhou Chuyun and the others were stunned. They probably never thought that there would be other people living in the cave. Only Jianshun remained calm and indifferent. He did not seem to care at all. Warriors, we've dug out this cave after so much effort. Yet you've come to seek refuge in the cave we've dug out after so much effort. Don't you think you've gone a little too far? One of the middle-aged men said with a heavy voice as he walked out of the cave. Jianshun glanced at the walls of the cave. From the marks, he could tell that the cave had existed for a very long time. It had not just been dug out recently. As an old man, Zhou Chuyun was extremely experienced. Obviously, he could tell with a single glance that the cave had not just been dug out recently. He clasped his hands. Warriors, you must know the situation outside very well. We have no other choice, so please forgive us if we've disturbed you. If you want to seek refuge here, each of you will have to hand over a Class 14 Thunderstone. Otherwise, please leave immediately, one of the middle-aged men said coldly. Class 14 Thunderstones were the material for creating Class 14 Quaking Thunders. Only vicious beasts that had reached a certain level of strength in the divine realm had a chance of producing them. Do you think Class 14 Thunderstones are so easy to obtain? Aren't you going a little too far? Zhou Qiyun's face sank. If you don't hand it over, piss out of this cave immediately, one of the middle-aged men called out. A middle-aged man shouted. His gaze was extremely sharp, and it seemed like he would fight with his weapon at the slightest disagreement. With a flash, Jianshun suddenly appeared before the middle-aged man. Before the middle-aged man could react, Jianshun had grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up before tossing him out of the cave like a sandbag without any hesitation. Arg! It was already pouring outside. The middle-aged man's body was instantly submerged by this special and terrifying rainwater. Accompanied by a miserable scream, his entire body was being annihilated at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a breath's time, the middle-aged man's body had already disappeared, leaving only a pool of blood mixed with the rainwater on the ground. Why, you actually killed Di Fu. The expressions of the 2 remaining middle-aged men changed. They stared at Jianshun in both shock and fury before running into the depths of the cave at the same time. Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters all looked at Jianshun in admiration. Zhou Lin even arrived beside Jianshun and hugged one of his arms. Her eyes were filled with stars as she said, Senior Yang Yutian, you're just too cool. You're just too cool. You're my idol. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun also looked at Jianshun with admiration. The 3 middle-aged men were not powerful, but they clearly had a backer since they dared to challenge them. However, Jianshun had tossed them out of the cave without any hesitation, without even considering their backer, killing them. Probably only 15-star experts could act so decisively. Let's go in and see just who else is in there, said Jianshun before making his way into the cave first. Chapter 11:16. Seniors, this is the person who killed Di Fu. He wants to take this dwelling for himself, and even wants to chase you out. He's extremely arrogant and condescending. I hope that seniors can personally kill this person. A middle-aged man pointed at Jianshun as he spoke with righteous indignation. Seniors, it's currently raining cats and dogs outside. This person is extremely arrogant and wants to take this dwelling for himself. He clearly has ill intentions towards seniors, so we can't let him live, another middle-aged man said. Another middle-aged man also spoke, twisting the truth saying that black was white and white was black. Jianshan coldly stared at the two middle-aged men and said, "People like you are basically superfluous in this world. Death is your final destination. Let me personally send you on your way so that you won't harm even more people." Jianshan extended a finger and two finger-sized strands of azulite sword chi shot out. With two plumes, they directly sank into the foreheads of the two middle-aged men, wiping them out on the spot. They could not resist at all. Zhou Chuyun and the others had arrived at the end of the cave as well. They just happened to see this scene and were immediately stunned. They had witnessed Jianshan's ruthlessness once again. He killed decisively without any hesitation. The four old men around the fire all opened their eyes and looked at Jianshan at the same time. Their gazes were chilling, filled with coldness and sharpness. Moreover, their gazes seemed to have solidified for a moment, becoming as sharp as unsheathed swords. They seemed to possess the power to pierce through metal and rock. "Sir, you've been a little too heavy-handed," one of the old men said with a heavy voice. "That's how it should be for people like them. Some people are just superfluous in this world," Jianshan said before making his way toward the four old men in a composed manner. A cold light flashed through the four old men's eyes. Their muscles tensed up as the vast energy within them began to circulate wildly. They secretly raised their guard and were ready for battle at any time. However, Jianshan did not go for the four of them. He calmly passed through the four old men and arrived beside the two middle-aged men in a pool of blood. He kicked the two of them over to Zhou Chuyun and the others and said, "Throw the two of them out of the cave." "All right." The two saint rulers, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun, agreed in an extremely straightforward manner. Without any hesitation, the two of them carried the two corpses and made their way outside. "Sir, you really are arrogant. There are countless experts in the world, and there's always someone taller. You're not invincible," an old man said with a heavy voice. His face was very ugly. The four of them did not stop Jianshan. They all feared Jianshan slightly. "I am indeed not invincible, but it's enough to deal with some people." Jianshan glanced past the four old men, intentionally or otherwise. A sliver of threat flashed through his eyes. "Do you want to chase the four of us out?" The four old men's faces were very ugly. They remained seated around the fire without standing up. "That's not it. I'm not an unreasonable person. As long as you don't provoke me, I won't offend others," said Jianshan before sitting down on a rock by himself. He closed his eyes to rest. The four old men stared at Jianshan for a while. They did not say anything and closed their eyes as well. They no longer paid any attention to the people who had entered the cave. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun returned after dealing with the two corpses. The two of them led the people from the Blue Sky Adventurers around the four old men who sat around the bonfire and made their way behind Jianshan. Afterwards, they took out healing pills from their space rings. They moved extremely gently, afraid that they would disturb the four old men. They all knew that the four old men were extremely powerful and were not people they could deal with. This was because the powerful presences the four old men unintentionally radiated were enough to make them shiver in fear. If it were not for Jianshan, they probably would not even have the right to enter the cave. The rain outside lasted for 3 whole days before stopping. Jianshan's group waited in the cave for 3 days as well. During those 3 days, Jianshan continued to comprehend the illusory flash and the great prophecy technique. He became even more familiar with the technique. However, the great prophecy technique remained at its original level. He did not benefit from it at all. 3 days later, Jianshan and the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers left the cave. The four old men chose to leave at the same time as well. They did not say anything to Jianshan. Instead, they chose another direction and separated from Jianshan. Before long, a great beast roar rang out. A 30-meter-long, tiger-like beast lunged at the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers. Its blood-red eyes were filled with hunger, treating Jianshan's group as prey. "This is a 13th star vicious beast. Jolin, back up," Zhou Chuyun sternly ordered. His expression was stern. He took out his saint artifact and charged out, engaging in a great battle with the vicious beasts. The human saint ruler, Lu Jun, did not stand by idly either. He fought with Zhou Chuyun against the vicious beast and killed it in the end. He found a fist-sized stone from its corpse. A thunderstone. There's actually a thunderstone. It's a class 13 thunderstone. Zhou Chuyun excitedly held the thunderstone. If he gave it to a 13-star warrior and filled it with energy, he would be able to exchange it for quite a few supreme-grade crystal coins. Clearly, the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers were overjoyed by their harvest this time. Zhou Lin and the others were all overjoyed, sighing about how lucky they were. Following which, everyone continued on their journey, advancing towards the depths of God's domain in a straight line. No matter how powerful the ominous beasts they encountered along the way, they killed them one by one. However, the harvest of thunderstones was very small. This was because not every ominous beast had thunderstones in its body. This was very different from demonic beasts. During this time, Jinshin also took action a few times. With a flick of his finger, Azulate Sword Chi would shoot out, killing a few 14th-star vicious beasts. There were many peak 14th-star vicious beasts, but they did not obtain a single thunderstone, which filled the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers with regret. Jinshin and the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers arrived in a boundless expanse of seaweed. The grass there had already existed for countless years, having grown to the size of ancient trees. As a matter of fact, it could not even be called grass anymore. Instead, it was a primitive forest where only weeds existed. The seaweed was filled with danger. Poisonous insects and vicious beasts would appear and disappear without a trace, silently appearing at any time and launching a fatal attack. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. At the same time, the ground was covered in swamps. Once someone fell in, they would be sucked in by the force of the swamps. Even Heaven's Saint Masters would die if they fell in. This was not the only danger from the grasslands. The greatest danger was the seaweed. Many of the seaweed had gained sentience and developed a consciousness of their own. Although they could not think, they could transform into huge mouths like vicious beasts and attack any prey that passed by. It was impossible to guard against them. If someone was bitten by the seaweed, their energy would be constantly absorbed by the seaweed, making them even more powerful. Even their flesh would become nutrients for the seaweed and be devoured. Even saint rulers would have a slim chance of survival if they were bitten by the seaweed. It had to be mentioned that the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers were extremely experienced. Although they came across many dangers as they moved through the grasslands, they were all discovered by the experienced members of the Blue Sky Adventurers ahead of time. They managed to avoid the dangers by a hair's breadth. Half a day later, they passed through the grasslands and arrived at a mountain range. From afar, it seemed like a huge dragon was crouching on the ground, blocking their path. Nearby, a group of around 30 people made their way toward Jinshin's group. They were not weak. There were close to 10 saint rulers while the rest were all saint rulers. They were all Heaven's Saint Masters. This is called the Mountains of the Sleeping Dragon. It's the largest mountain range in the Divine Realm. It splits the entire Divine Realm into two. Beyond the mountains is the depths of the Divine Realm. Zhou Chuyun explained to Jinshin. He seemed rather exhausted before looking at the group in the distance. He was filled with caution. Lu Jun and the other members of the Blue Sky Adventurers discovered the group as well. They all secretly raised their guard. Killing and pillaging could be seen everywhere in the Divine Realm. Only Jinshin continued to stare at the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon. His gaze was deep. He constantly glanced around the mountain range. He could sense the presences of many powerful, vicious beasts in the mountains. Warriors, may I ask if you plan on venturing into the depths of the Divine Realm as well? If you do, why don't you join our group? We can travel together. Even if we come across any dangers along the way, it'll be easier for us to deal with them, someone from the group called out from afar. At this moment, 4 old men appeared in another direction. They stopped and stared at the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon sternly. It's them. They've actually come here as well. Looks like they plan on venturing into the depths of the Divine Realm as well. Zhou Chuyun discovered the 4 old men and called out in a deep voice. Jinshin looked at the 4 old men. His eyes shone brightly, but they were extremely calm. The four old men were the four people he had encountered in the cave. At the same time, the four old men discovered Jianshun as well. They all looked over, and a gleam of light flashed through their eyes before vanishing. Their gazes deepened, and they left. They did not ascend the mountains of the sleeping dragon. Instead, they traveled along the foot of the mountains. Warriors up ahead, you plan on venturing into the depths of the divine realm as well, right? Join us. Let's travel together. The middle-aged man in the group of 30 called out again. He wanted to invite the four old men to join him. However, the four old men completely ignored him. They left without even looking back. Although they were traveling on foot, they moved extremely quickly, disappearing very soon. By now, the group had arrived before Jinshin's group. They stood in several smaller groups, so it was possible to tell that they were not together. Chapter 11:17. Jinshin said nothing. He continued to stare at the mountains of the sleeping dragon. Zhou Chuyun, Lu Jun, and the others did not say anything either. Clearly, they all followed Jinshin's lead. Sir Yang Yutian, there are many extremely powerful beasts in the mountains of the sleeping dragon. There are even 16 star beasts. It's extremely dangerous. Since ancient times, there hasn't been a lot of people who have made it through the mountains of the sleeping dragon. They all use that tunnel up ahead, explained Zhou Chuyun. He knew that this was the first time Jianshin had come to the divine realm, so he knew nothing about this place. If we use that tunnel, roughly how long will it take? Jianshin asked. The tunnel is several tens of thousand kilometers away from us. We don't dare to move too quickly in the divine realm. Coupled with the fact that there will be some obstructions along the way, it'll probably take half a month, Zhou Chuyun analyzed seriously. Hee, warrior, it must be your first time in the divine realm, right? You're actually asking a question like that. If you want to enter the depths of the divine realm, the tunnel up ahead is the only path. No matter how far it is, you have to continue. Even 15-star experts are no exception. As for making it through the mountains of the sleeping dragon, even regular 16-star experts won't be able to do it unless they possess the strength of Hall Elders, smiled an old man in the group. Everyone, why don't you join our team and face the dangers on the way together? Otherwise, if you travel alone, I'm afraid you'll die on the way before you even get close to the tunnel. The one who spoke was a skinny young man. We're already close to the depths of the divine realm. 15-star beasts will appear frequently. You won't even be able to flee once you run into them, so it's best if you travel with us. Even if we come across 15-star beasts, we'll be able to fend them off. Many people in the group asked Jianshin and the others to join them. They could tell with a single glance that the Blue Sky adventurers possessed several Heaven Saint Masters. An adventurer group like that definitely would not be powerful. Having 3 13-star experts was already quite impressive. Sir Yang Yutian, what do you think? Zhou Chuyun looked at Jianshin and waited for Jianshin to make up his mind. The people in the group immediately became interested when they saw this. Someone who could make a 13-star expert follow their lead would definitely be a 14-star expert. If someone like that were to travel with them, their strength would definitely increase by a lot. At this moment, many people had already made up their minds to rope in Jianshin and the others. That tunnel takes too long. I want to cross the Crouching Dragon Mountain Range, Jianshin said calmly, as if crossing the Crouching Dragon Mountains was nothing out of the ordinary for him. However, his words were no different from a thunderclap in the ears of the others. They were all dumbfounded as disbelief filled their faces. Even Zhou Chuyun and the others who had a rough understanding of Jinshin's strength felt the same. Although there had been people who had crossed the Crouching Dragon Mountains before, they were all terrifyingly powerful experts without any exception. There were many Hall Elders who had reached the peak of the 16th star among them. They could destroy the world with just a raise of their hand. Did this young man, who seemed extremely ordinary, possess such strength as well? At this moment, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun began to re-evaluate Jinshin's strength. Crossing the Crouching Dragon Mountains was not something a 15-star expert could do. Warrior, are you joking? Do you really want to cross the Crouching Dragon Mountains? Someone asked in disbelief. Jianshin ignored them and began to make his way toward the Crouching Dragon Mountains. Zhou Chuyun and the others hesitated. In the end, They made up their minds and followed Jianshun into the mountains. These people are just asking for death. Do they think they're as powerful as Hall Elders? I can guarantee that they'll die very soon if they try to cross the Crouching Dragon Mountains, someone snickered. Jianxin and the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers had already vanished into the depths of the Crouching Dragon Mountains. Before long, a deafening beast's roar broke the silence, shooting into the distance. However, there was no more sound after that. No one knew what had happened inside. That's the roar of a 15th star vicious beast. The people who entered the mountains have probably died to the vicious beasts already. They don't know their limits. Just how powerful are 15th star vicious beasts? How can they be their opponents with just a few of them? Look, they've been cut to pieces without even making a single ripple. Not even their corpses remain. Many people in the group of 30 sneered at the foot of the mountains. There were also some who sighed in pity. A few 13-star experts who had been glorious outside had died in there, just like that. Several dozen kilometers ahead, the four old men came to a sudden halt. They turned their heads back to look at the Crouching Dragon Mountain range behind them. The loud roar from the mountain range had naturally alarmed them. Their eyes flickered with uncertainty and surprise. Someone has entered the Crouching Dragon Mountains. Is it that young man? One of the old men said with a heavy voice. He was stern. That young man seems ordinary, but he's actually a hidden expert. He's definitely a 15th-star expert. The roar came from a 15th-star feral beast. It only had time to roar once before it stopped moving. Has that feral beast been killed? Impossible. How can a 15-star vicious beast be killed so easily? Probably only 16-star experts can do something like that. Is that young man a 16-star expert? The four old men discussed with one another. They were all extremely stern as shock and disbelief filled their faces. Zhou Chuyin, Lu Jun, and the others followed behind Jianxin fearfully in the Crouching Dragon Mountains. Their faces were filled with fear as their legs trembled. Behind them, the body of a huge, ferocious beast was lying in a pile of rocks. Its bright red blood had dyed the ground red. It was a 15th-star vicious beast. Although its battle prowess was not as great as experts of the same level, it was still an extremely powerful existence. However, Jianxun had cleaved its head in a single stroke, and it only managed to let out a frightened roar before dying. Killing a 15-star vicious beast with a single stroke was something that Zhou Chuyun and the others had never even dared to imagine in the past. They had never thought that they would witness it with their own eyes, which left them extremely shocked. It felt like they were dreaming. Up ahead, Jianxin cleared the way with steady and firm steps with the blood-dripping Emperor armament. He did not want to waste too much time here. He wanted to pass through the Crouching Dragon Mountains in the shortest amount of time possible, so all the vicious beasts he came across were slain by him with lightning speed. There were quite a few vicious beasts that lived in the Crouching Dragon Mountains. Most of them were 15th-star vicious beasts. Although they did not have any thoughts of their own, they had basically gained a sliver of intelligence after reaching such a level of strength. They each ruled over a territory. Jianshan advanced and entered the territories of many powerful vicious beasts. Battles constantly occurred along the way, and the might of the Emperor armament would erupt from time to time, carving out a bloody path. In just half a day, Jianshin had killed 5 15-star vicious beasts and over a dozen 14-star vicious beasts. He obtained 2 15-star thunderstones and several 14-star thunderstones, which made Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters envious. Jianshin only kept the 2 15th-star thunderstones. He tossed all the 14-star thunderstones to Zhou Chuyun, which made Zhou Chuyun extremely excited. The 14-star thunderstones were a tremendous amount of wealth to Zhou Chuyun and the others, but they were useless to Jianshin. Only the 15-star thunderstones caught his attention. The divine realm was in an uproar on this day. The continuous roars of vicious beasts rang out from the Crouching Dragon Mountains, alarming countless adventurers in the divine realm and causing quite a stir. Various discussions rang out as well. Some people said that a king of vicious beasts had been born in the Crouching Dragon Mountains. It was terrifyingly powerful and was currently fighting everywhere to expand its territory. There were also some people who said that a terrifyingly powerful expert was charging into the mountains, which shocked many adventurers. There was a group of around 30 adventurers walking at the foot of the mountains. None of them seemed to be in a good mood, and they would look back from time to time in surprise and doubt. They had also heard the roars from several hundred kilometers away, which filled many of them with shock and great unease. They knew that a king of vicious beasts had not been born in the crouching Dragon Mountains. Instead, a powerful adventurer had barged in. That's impossible. They're actually still alive. The roars of the vicious beasts are filled with pain and fear. They're so miserable. They're roars of despair right before death. Is that ordinary-looking young man a 15th-star expert? No, he might be a 16-star expert. There are quite a few roars from the vicious beasts. He's probably killed 20 vicious beasts already, and there are even 15-star vicious beasts among them. The people in the group carefully analyzed the situation. They were all shocked. They had never thought that they would have brushed past such an expert. In particular, the people who had mocked Jianshan became uneasy and regretful. At the same time, 9 black-robed people of various ages entered the city on vicious beasts. The patriarch of the Lanshan clan, one of the 3 great clans in the city, personally received them. He politely invited them into the Lanshan clan. At this moment, the patriarch of the Lanshan clan humbled himself in a majestic hall within the Lanshan clan. He greeted these people of extraordinary status with a smile. Experts from Diork City, welcome to our Lanshan clan as guests. I already know why you've come. It must be for the divine water of the world, said the patriarch. Correct. We have indeed come for the divine water of the world. Patriarch, please tell us about it. A middle-aged man said coldly. The traces of the divine water are in the hands of a captain called the Blue Sky Adventurers, but they've already recruited a few experts into the divine realm, said the patriarch. The 9 experts from Diork City immediately frowned when they heard that. Chapter 11:18. All right, you lead the way then. There's no time to lose. Let's set off right now. The middle-aged man from Diork City who had just spoken spoke. His status in this group was not low, and his words carried a lot of weight. Afterwards, the young master of the Lanshan clan personally led the group of experts from Diork City to the divine realm. I'll definitely make you regret killing my guards. So what if you're at the 15th star? I have plenty of ways to deal with you. This time, I'll let the experts of Diork City deal with you. Lan Mo sneered from time to time as he made his way to the divine realm. At the same time, in a large city several tens of thousand kilometers away, a luxurious mansion sat in the center of the city. Within the mansion, a metal tower that was several hundred meters tall stood there like a pillar, looking down on the entire city from above. This was the greatest clan in Bibo City, the Huangdao clan. They were the undisputed ruler of the surrounding region. At this moment, an old man stood before a heavy metal door at the very top of the Huangdao clan's tower. He said politely, "Ancestor, the 1,000-footed clan of Diork City has sent experts into the God Realm. They probably want to enter the depths of the God Realm to obtain the divine water of the world." I ran into that old bastard of the 1,000-footed clan a few months ago and fought a great battle with him. That old bastard's soul was injured by me, and regular healing pills are unable to heal him. He probably wants to find the divine water of the world to heal his soul. Does he really think that the divine water of the world is so easy to find? Who knows how many 16-star experts and even hall elders have returned empty-handed in the past? An old voice rang out from behind the heavy metal door. The voice was filled with weakness, and he could not help but cough violently after he finished speaking. "Ancestor, are your injuries all right?" However, someone seems to have discovered traces of the divine water of heaven and earth in the divine city. I believe that the 1,000-footed family will definitely obtain information about the divine water of heaven and earth from that person. The old man standing outside the secret chamber asked with concern. Compared to the injuries to the soul of that old bastard of the 1,000-footed clan, my injuries are much lighter. Since the divine water of the world has appeared in the divine realm, we can't let the 100-footed clan obtain it. Immediately get the Grand Elder to lead some people to the divine realm to fight for it, said the ancestor of the Huangdao clan. Before long, a group of over a dozen people left the Huangdao clan in a hurry. The weakest among them was a saint ruler, and they were led by two holy emperor experts. If such a powerful group appeared on the Tianyuan continent, they would basically be able to rampage through the entire continent. Even peak organizations would not be willing to offend two holy emperor experts so easily unless they had grievances of life and death. However, a group like that could only be regarded as a powerful existence in the Sea Realm because the overall strength of the Sea Realm was greater than the Tianyuan continent. Whether it was the peak holy emperor or the number of saint rulers and holy emperor experts, the Sea Realm far exceeded the Tianyuan continent. News of the divine water of heaven and earth appearing in the depths of the divine region quickly spread to more and more people. Many powerful clans within a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers, or even millions of kilometers, began to take action. They all sent experts to the divine region in an attempt to seize the divine water of heaven and earth. The divine water of the world was an extremely wondrous treasure in the divine realm. Not only could it allow a person to undergo a complete transformation, granting them an extremely rare body for cultivation, but it also provided countless benefits to the soul. It could refine a person's soul to the limit. Although the effects on holy emperor experts were not very obvious, it was still extremely beneficial. The divine water of the world appeared randomly in the depths of the divine realm. On average, only a tiny amount would appear every 1,000 years. Finding it was completely up to luck, and it was not something that could be found just because one wanted to. As a result, the divine water was a priceless treasure in the Sea Realm. Jinshin and the people from the Blue Sky Adventurers approached the top of the Crouching Dragon Mountains in less than half a day. Once they crossed over, they would have officially set foot in the depths of the divine realm. The Emperor armament in Jinshin's hand had already been dyed red by blood. He did not purposefully clean up the blood. Along the way, he had basically stepped over the corpses of countless powerful vicious beasts. He had killed a total of 10 15-star vicious beasts and 3 16-star vicious beasts, but they were all between the 5th and 6th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. He had obtained a total of 4 15-star thunderstones and 1 16-star thunderstone. The people of the Blue Sky Adventurers had become completely numb to Jinshin's supreme strength now. Although they did not do anything as they followed behind Jinshin, their harvest was extremely plentiful. It was enough to drive them mad with joy. This was because Jinshin did not take a single 14-star thunderstone they came across along the way. He gave them all to them. Just their harvest from a single day had surpassed their total income in the past 300 years in the divine realm. The people in the outskirts of the divine realm were in an uproar. The roars of the 15th-star vicious beasts from the Crouching Dragon Mountains rang through most of the divine realm, allowing many people to learn that a supreme expert was currently traversing the mountains. However, they did not know who possessed such might. Only the adventurers and the 4 old men who had personally witnessed Jinshin's group enter the mountains saw the people who had crossed over. The people of the Blue Sky Adventurers followed behind Jinshin 100 meters away to prevent the shockwaves from the battle between Jinshin and the vicious beasts from harming them. All of them looked at Jinshin with admiration and fanaticism. At this moment, Jinshin suddenly stopped. He stared at a cave 10 kilometers away before turning around and saying to them, "There's a powerful, vicious beast in the cave. Stay here. I'll go deal with it first." The people of the Blue Sky Adventurers replied in unison before carefully retreating several kilometers away. In the end, they hid behind a huge boulder. With the Emperor armament in hand, Jinshin turned into a blur as he shot toward the top of the mountain. Although the vicious beasts of the Crouching Dragon Mountains had no consciousness, they were extremely territorial. Almost every single vicious beast would carve out a piece of land for themselves. As long as they did not invade their territory, they would not attack them even if they discovered their target. They were clearly different from other vicious beasts. Roar! As soon as Jinshin set foot on the top of the mountain, A deafening roar rang out. The entire mountain range shook and a few rocks shattered, rolling down as large rocks. The terrifying sound waves caused the space there to ripple. If it were not for the fact that the space there was tough enough, it probably would have shattered from the roar. A huge serpent dragon rose up from the top of the mountain. It hovered 10 meters above the ground and was several hundred meters long. Its scales flickered with a violet light, dazzling to the eyes. A terrifying presence enveloped the surrounding area, reaching far beyond the crouching dragon mountains. It frightened the adventurers who passed by the foot of the mountain, causing their expressions to change. In the distance, the 4 old men stopped. They all turned around and stared in the direction of the sound. They were all stern, and one of them cried out, "The sound seems to belong to that serpent dragon. It's one of the most powerful existences in the crouching dragon mountains. I never thought that person would have reached that level. That person's strength is far greater than the 4 of us. Fortunately, we didn't come into conflict with him back then. The most powerful existences in the crouching dragon mountains are almost at the peak of the 16th star. They've stopped many 16-star experts in the past, and some 16-star experts have even died there. I wonder if that young man can make it through. I hope that person dies to the hands of the serpent dragon, or we'll be in danger at any time once he enters the depths of the divine realm." The 4 old men's expressions were very ugly. Jinshin's strength had already made them feel extremely pressured. Jinshin finally became stern. Although he had sensed the tremendous presence of the serpent dragon on the top of the mountain long ago, its true strength had exceeded his expectations. The Holy Emperor is at the 9th heavenly layer. It's only a step away from becoming invincible below the Holy Emperor, Jinshin murmured. However, he was not afraid at all. He already knew from the beasts he had killed earlier that they were powerful, but they did not know any abilities at all. Moreover, they were not intelligent, basically relying on their instincts to move. Compared to humans of the same level of cultivation, they were just too weak. The serpent dragon furiously roared from the top of the mountain. Its blood-red eyes stared right at Jinshin as it spat out a ball of violet flames toward Jinshin. With a single movement, Jinshin used the illusory flash. He left behind an afterimage as he crossed several hundred meters and arrived before the serpent dragon in a single moment. He leaped onto the head of the serpent dragon and stabbed the emperor armament into its huge head with lightning-like black light, leaving only the hilt outside. Blood spurted from the head of the serpent dragon as it produced a painful howl. Its huge body violently rolled in the air as it tried to throw Jinshin off. Jinshin gripped the hilt of the emperor armament tightly to stabilize himself, while his left hand grabbed onto a scale. No matter how the serpent dragon struggled, it was unable to throw Jinshin off. Although the serpent dragon possessed the strength of the 9th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, it lacked intelligence. All of its actions were based on instinct, so it was at a disadvantage right from the start when facing Jinshin, who was extremely experienced in battle. Chapter 11:19. The serpent dragon's tail struck Jinshin's back viciously, tearing Jinshin's clothes to shreds. The terrifying force directly slapped Jinshin off the dragon's head. His back was reduced to a bloody mess as many of his bones were broken. The serpent dragon was just too powerful after all, although it did not possess any intelligence. Every single one of its attacks was as powerful as the Holy Emperor's 9th heavenly layer. Even with Jinshin's powerful chaotic body, he was unable to forcefully endure the attacks from the Holy Emperor's 9th heavenly layer with his body. Jinshin flew back 5 kilometers before landing firmly on the ground with a flip. Blood trickled from the corner of his lips as chaotic force surged through his body. Not only did it push the defenses of the chaotic body to the limit, but it also used the chaotic force to rapidly heal his wounds. At the same time, strands of white light rose up from Jinshin's body. He had used half a strand of Radiant Saint Force Origin energy to heal, so the light was not intense. Crack! Crack! The crisp sounds of Jinshin's bones could be clearly heard. The broken bones on his back healed at a visible rate. Under the dual healing of the chaotic body and Radiant Saint Force Origin energy, Jinshin's wounds healed at an unbelievable rate. Jinshin did not dare to be careless against a serpent dragon that possessed the strength of the Holy Emperor's ninth heavenly layer. He had to attack without holding back. The strength of the serpent dragon before him was not something the spectral elders of the Yama Hall could compare to. Roar! The violet serpent dragon produced a great roar. Its voice was filled with pain as it vaguely let out a dragon's roar. Its 300-meter-long body thrashed about violently, causing the entire mountain to shake slightly and send rocks flying everywhere. A sliver of chaotic force had entered the violet serpent dragon's head when the Emperor Mystic's sword had stabbed into it. It was now wildly destroying the nerves in the violet serpent dragon's head, causing him excruciating pain. However, the violet serpent dragon was an existence that possessed the strength of the Holy Emperor's ninth heavenly layer. Its body and life force were just too powerful. Coupled with the fact that it did not possess a soul, the damage from the chaotic force was nowhere near as great as a Class 8 magical beast with a soul. The serpent dragon shone with a bright purple light as terrifying energy pulsed violently on the peak of the mountain range. The violet serpent dragon used all the energy within its body to temporarily suppress the chaotic force in its head. It swung its tail and actually produced a clear sonic boom as it whipped it towards Jinshin as a blur. Jinshin was constantly. He was basically the moment the serpent dragon's tail had been. He had moved away from where he was in a blur. He charged fearlessly towards the serpent dragon before him. As a blur. He left the serpent dragons as a blur. He seemed to leave and blur. Leave left, S left, blur as a blur as he teleportation. Boom! The serpent dragon's tail viciously struck where Jinshin had been standing before with great force. It immediately erupted with a great boom, and the entire mountain range shook violently. A few small mountains directly collapsed. When Jinshin approached the serpent dragon, he leapt up in an attempt to land another fatal blow on its head. The serpent dragon roared out. Although it did not possess intelligence, it had clearly learned its lesson after suffering once. It knew that it could not allow Jinshin to land on its head. It immediately tilted its head and spat out a mouthful of violet flames, enveloping Jinshin as a sea of fire. The violet flames were extremely terrifying. They blotted out the sky as if they could even burn the air. Even some of the rocks on the ground had been reduced to flowing red lava. This time, Jinshin was unable to dodge as he was in the air. He was surrounded by the violet flames, and even his chaotic body was unable to endure the terrifying heat. Intense pain filled his entire body. Jinshin bellowed out as strands of chaotic force immediately surged out from the chaotic energy in his dantian. They burst out of his skin and formed a barrier around him to block the violet flames. He pointed the Emperor armament at the sky as a supreme sword intent radiated from his body. He swung his sword twice with lightning-like speed. The two strands of sword chi, completely condensed from chaotic force, turned into a black streak of light. They broke through the cage of violet flames and shot into the serpent dragon's eyes with lightning speed. Spurt! The serpent dragon's eyes directly exploded. It could not help but wail out from the intense pain. The violet flames from its mouth stopped as a result. Jinshin did not hesitate at all. He quickly approached the serpent dragon with the Emperor armament and stabbed at its forehead. Even though the serpent dragon's defenses were very powerful, it was unable to block Jinshin's full-powered attack with its body alone. As blood spurted out, the Emperor armament had already sunk deep into the serpent dragon's head, leaving only the hilt outside. Jinshin's eyes were cold. Without giving the serpent dragon any time to react, he immediately drew his Emperor armament. With a tremble of his arm, he actually stabbed out 3 more times in a single instance. It was impossible to see the blade, only leaving behind blurry blurs. They moved at unbelievable speeds, leaving behind a sliver of chaotic force with each stab that entered the serpent dragon's head. The serpent dragon began to struggle madly from the pain. Its huge head directly slammed into Jinshin, knocking Jinshin into the air. Its vitality was just too great. It did not have a soul, so it basically had no weaknesses. Even after receiving several fatal blows to its head, it was still so tough. Jianshan landed on a huge boulder a kilometer away and stabilized himself. He then kicked off with both feet, and the boulder immediately shattered. He shot toward the serpent dragon like an arrow and raised the Emperor armament above his head with both hands. The Emperor armament that was only a meter long rapidly expanded, becoming a 30-meter-long sword in a single moment. It was wrapped in a layer of destructive chaotic force. Jianshan gripped the sword with both hands as his presence skyrocketed. With a deep roar, he swung the 30-meter-long sword at the serpent dragon's neck with a destructive presence. Blood immediately flowed from the serpent dragon's neck. A quarter of its thick neck had been cut off, leaving behind a vicious wound. Jianshan raised the sword with both hands and raised it above his head. He wanted to swing it down again and cut off the serpent dragon's head. Suddenly, the violet serpent dragon opened its gaping mouth. Before Jianshan could swing it, it lunged over with lightning-like speed by sensing Jianshan's position. Jianshan had never thought that the mindless serpent dragon would still be able to sense his position after losing its eyes. Caught off guard, he was bitten by the serpent dragon. A sharp tooth pierced Jianshan's chest, causing him to be stuck in the serpent dragon's mouth. His chest throbbed with excruciating pain. The serpent dragon's head was covered in blood. Its sharp tooth had pierced Jianshan's chest, pinning him in its mouth. Afterward, it began to shake its head desperately in an attempt to rip apart Jianshan's body. If any other holy emperor had been in such danger, they probably would have been cut in half long ago. However, Jianshan's chaotic body was just too shocking, so he managed to hold on. Although he did not suffer any further injuries, the excruciating pain caused Jianshan's facial muscles to twist. Jianshan roared at the sky. The Emperor armament returned to its normal size in the blink of an eye, and he swung it at the serpent dragon's tooth as hard as he could. Now that the serpent dragon's mouth was closed, Jianshan would not be able to break free if he did not cut through the tooth that had pierced his chest. Although the serpent dragon possessed the strength of the 9th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, it lacked intelligence. It did not possess the Holy Emperor's abilities, so it relied on its instincts to fight. As a result, Jianshan did not want to rely on any external forces to deal with the serpent dragon. He wanted to kill it with his own strength apart from the Emperor armament. The serpent dragon's tooth was extremely tough. Jianshan had to slash at it 5 times before he cut through the tooth that had pierced his chest. He immediately pulled the 2-meter-long tooth out of his chest. However, at this moment, a pungent smell filled the air. The serpent dragon's head immediately wrapped around Jianshan, who had just regained his freedom. Without giving Jianshan any time to react, the serpent dragon immediately pulled back into its mouth and swallowed Jianshan alive. In the next moment, the serpent dragon began to violently tremble as painful wails rang out from its mouth. With a bang, a bloody hole suddenly appeared on its body. Jianshan, who had just been swallowed by the serpent dragon, had a hole that was a meter wide. He escaped from the serpent dragon while covered in blood. Afterward, the Emperor armament expanded to 30 meters and viciously slashed at the wound on the serpent dragon's neck, widening the wound to half its original size. Only half of the neck was still connected. Jianshan did not stop at all. He viciously slashed out again, causing the wound on the serpent dragon's neck to deepen. With a movement, he left behind an afterimage and instantly vanished. Almost the moment he vanished, there was a flash of purple. The serpent dragon's tail swept past where Jianshan had just been with a sonic boom. At this moment, Jianshan had already swung out his 4th attack. The 30-meter-long sword struck the serpent dragon's neck with a terrifying pulse of energy. Only a quarter of its flesh was still connected to the serpent dragon. Roar! The serpent dragon produced a chilling cry. The sound was deafening. Its huge head had finally been completely separated from its 300-meter-long body, falling to the ground with a boom and kicking up dust into the air. The serpent dragon did not die even though its head had been separated from its body. Its 300-meter-long body constantly struggled on the ground as its head constantly cried out. The two parts rapidly drew together in an attempt to reconnect the body. How could Jianshun allow it to do as it wished? He knew that once the head was separated from a body, it would basically lose all battle prowess. He took a step forward and stood between the head and the other half of the serpent dragon's body. The destructive, chaotic force of the Emperor armament constantly slashed at the serpent dragon's head, reducing it to a pulp. The vicious beasts here were different from magical beasts. No matter how powerful the magical beasts were, they would die as long as their souls were destroyed. However, the serpent dragon did not have a soul in its head, so it lacked a fatal weakness. Moreover, its vitality was extremely great, so Jianshun could only kill it in the most primitive way. Chapter 1120. Jianshun could not help but let out a sigh of relief when he finally killed the violet serpent dragon. With a flick of his sword, a blood-soaked object immediately flew out of the serpent dragon's head, landing firmly in Jianshun's hand. This was a thunderstone produced by the serpent dragon. It could be imbued with the power of a ninth heavenly layer Holy Emperor, allowing the Holy Emperor to unleash the power of a ninth heavenly layer expert. It was extremely valuable, only slightly less valuable than the flaming jadeite that the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union had given him. Jianshun stowed the thunderstone and Emperor armament away in his space ring before sitting down nearby to heal. Slivers of milky white light radiated from his body. He had used up the remaining half of his Radiant Saint Force origin energy. He needed to heal his wounds as quickly as possible. The hole in Jianshun's chest from the serpent dragon's tooth healed at a visible rate. The missing flesh grew back. In the distance, the two saint rulers, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun, tottered over with the Heaven Saint Masters from the Blue Sky Adventurers. They all paled when they saw the corpse of the serpent dragon on the ground. This was one of the most powerful experts in the mountains of the sleeping dragon. Even if it had not reached the peak of the 16th star, it was not far off. It was basically in existence on par with the hall elders of the three divine halls of the sea realm. Yet its corpse was lying there right now. The sight of it greatly impacted them. This serpent dragon is not weak. Its entire body is filled with treasures. Go deal with it first, and you'll obviously get share. Jianshun suddenly said to them as he healed on the ground. His priority was to heal himself, so he did not have time to deal with the serpent dragon's corpse. Zhou Chuyun and the others ravished with joy. They hurriedly thanked him and immediately began to deal with the corpse. However, the serpent dragon's body was just too tough. Even though it was already dead, it was still extremely difficult for them as saint rulers to deal with it. Suddenly, the sound of muffled thunder came from the sky. The sky in the god's domain turned gloomy once more. Thunder rumbled incessantly in the clouds, and from time to time, a bolt of lightning would shuttle through the clouds, blossoming into a brilliant radiance that illuminated the entire horizon. Jianshun opened his eyes and raised his head to look at the gloomy sky. He immediately frowned and immediately stopped. He pulled out the Emperor armament from his space ring and joined in the work of dissecting the serpent dragon. With Jianshun's participation, the process of dealing with the serpent dragon's corpse was obviously much faster. Jianshun pulled out the dragon's tendons and dug out its heart. Jianshun plucked out all the violet scales. The scales were extremely tough. If they were made into clothes, even saint rulers would struggle to injure them. They could even block the full-powered attacks of holy emperors below the fifth heavenly layer without being destroyed. They were rare treasures to people who were not powerful. Although the violet scales were tough, they did not necessarily protect the wearer's life. They only provided the wearer with the greatest protection. If a saint ruler wore clothes made from violet scales against a holy emperor, the holy emperor would not be able to break through the armor, but he would be able to use his great strength to shake his opponent to death. Other than that, Jianshun used the jade bottles that Zhou Chuyun had given him to store quite a lot of the serpent dragon's blood. The jade bottles were similar to space rings. They did not seem large, but they were extremely large inside. They could store over 500 liters of liquid. The blood of a serpent dragon was extremely precious, especially the blood of a holy emperor at the ninth heavenly layer. It could strengthen the bodies of heaven's saint masters and those below, but it was not very useful to saint rulers with tough bodies. The clouds in the sky became denser and denser. The rain was about to pour. Jianshan knew that he did not have much time left. In the end, he cut off a large piece of the serpent dragon's flesh and left. He found a huge cave that the violet serpent dragon lived in nearby and hid inside. Before long, the rain began to pour. The extremely corrosive rain landed on the remaining corpse of the serpent dragon, and the corpse immediately began to melt at a visible rate. It completely vanished very soon, without even a speck of it remaining. Jianshan immediately became doubtful when he saw this. He still remembered how he had seen a few vicious beasts emerge unscathed from afar when he ran through the rain with the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers. The rain did not pose any threat to the vicious beasts, yet the corpse of the serpent dragon had actually been melted by the rain. He was very confused. Zhou Chuyun could tell that Jianshan was doubtful. So he explained, "Esteemed warrior Yang Yuqian, the rain in the divine realm cannot harm living vicious beasts, but it can corrode the beasts that have lost all signs of life. At the same time, the rain can corrode everything that comes from outside the divine realm. Only the native creatures of the divine realm will be unaffected. In other words, if I cut off a piece of rock and place it above my head, won't I be able to block the rain?" Jianshan asked. "That's right. You can do that, but it's just too dangerous after all. Basically, no one is willing to try it, because the rocks here aren't indestructible. Once you encounter vicious beasts, it'll be dangerous. At the same time, the weather in the divine realm is different from the outside world. It's windy and rainy here, so some of the puddles on the ground will even be blown up by the wind. It's not safe even if you hide under a rock. The best method is still to hide in a cave," explained Zhou Chuyun. Afterwards, he looked at the serpent dragon meat that had been corroded by the rain with a pained expression. He said, "What a pity. So much serpent dragon meat was wasted just like that. That meat can be sold for quite a lot of money outside." Jianshan came to a realization. Afterwards, he gave a small portion of the blood and meat he had obtained to Zhou Chuyun and the others before sitting down on the ground to continue healing. When the rain stopped the next day, Jianshan continued on his journey with the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers. They passed through the mountains and made their way into the depths of the divine realm. He had already made a full recovery from the chaotic force and radiant saint force origin energy. He had returned to his peak condition. The journey down the mountain was much easier. Although they would come across vicious beasts from time to time, they were nowhere near as powerful as the serpent dragons. They were basically all at the 14th or 15th star. The corpses of these vicious beasts were rather ordinary, nowhere near as valuable as the purple-gold serpent dragons. Even the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers could not be bothered to clean them up. "Zhou Chuyun, where is the divine water of the world that you discovered in the depths of the divine realm?" Jianshan asked Zhou Chuyun after they had left the mountains. They had officially set foot into the depths of the divine realm now. "Esteemed warrior Yang Yuqian, since the path we took to enter this place is different from the path I took last time, I need to identify it properly and search for the markings I left behind last time," said Zhou Chuyun. "All right then, lead the way. I'll deal with the harassment of the vicious beasts along the way. Once we find the divine water of the world, you'll have a share," Jianshan said to Zhou Chuyun. Everyone continued on their way, but the person at the front was now Zhou Chuyun. At the same time, the 100-footed clan from Diorc City entered the divine realm under young Master Lan Mo's lead. Lan Mo sensed the location of the Blue Sky Adventurers through a secret technique and immediately became stunned. He murmured, "How is this possible? They're actually in the depths of the divine realm. How have they traveled so far in such a short amount of time? Isn't this just a little too fast? They must be led by an expert, or it's impossible for them to move so quickly. Since they're already in the depths of the divine realm, we need to move faster. Let's go." An old man from the 100-footed clan said emotionlessly before immediately flying into the depths of the divine realm with everyone else. Soon after the 100-footed clan entered the divine realm, a group of experts from the Huangdao clan from Bibo City also entered the divine realm. They were led by a 15th star expert, and they also hurried into the depths of the divine realm. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Jinshin and the Blue Sky adventurers had already traveled through the depths of the divine realm for 3 days. During those 3 days, they experienced many dangers. Just the vicious beasts that attacked them numbered over a dozen. The weakest among them was at the 13th star, and there were even quite a few 15-star beasts. Suddenly, the buzzing of wings rang out from all directions, causing Jinshin's group to stop involuntarily. "What's that sound?" Lu Jun looked around and became rather stern. Even 15-star experts faced the danger of dying in the depths of the divine realm, so they needed to be cautious. Jinshin looked around as well, but he didn't see anything. Unfortunately, the senses of his soul were suppressed here, so he could only extend it to 1,000 meters away. He could not even see with his naked eye. The buzzing of wings grew louder and louder, basically blotting out the surroundings. Soon after, a large swathe of black figures gradually appeared before everyone. They came from all directions, surrounding all of them. That's a group of dark green flying ants. The smallest ones are the size of fist, while the larger ones are the size of an adult. Jinshin's eyesight was much better than Zhou Chuyun and the others, so he was able to see the true appearance of the black figures from very far away. His scalp became numb because he discovered that there were just far too many of the flying ants. They were packed together, basically blotting out the sky. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun's expressions suddenly changed when they heard that. Deep fear filled their eyes as they cried out, "Oh no, those are the legendary assassins of the divine realm, the soaring ants. They can't be killed, and their bodies are as tough as steel. They specialize in absorbing energy and are immune to all energy attacks. They can ignore the spatial abilities of the Saint Ruler and the Holy Emperor. Retreat. We need to retreat quickly and leave the territory of the soaring ants immediately. Otherwise, even people as powerful as Hall Elders will die here." Jinshin's face changed as well. They were immune to all energy attacks and could ignore the spatial abilities of the Saint Ruler and the Holy Emperor. The Saint Ruler and the Holy Emperor would lose their greatest advantage before the soaring ants. Everyone below Saint Ruler was an ant. This was because Saint Rulers already had a basic grasp over spatial abilities and the ability to gather the energy of the world. However, these abilities were completely ineffective against the soaring ants. They turned around and fled in the direction they had come from, but they had already been surrounded by the dense swarm of soaring ants. No matter which direction they fled in, they would have to face countless soaring ants.